January 22nd, 2019 is the date, the time. It's like 11.
Just about.
This is now. Yeah. This is our time.
That's right.
11 o'clock. Bombcast. Let's go.
Yeah. That's like a wrestling intro, practically.
Yeah.
You're yelling over there. I'm Jeff Gerstmann, filling in for Brad Shoemaker, who is out playing unreleased video games today.
On assignment.
What?
Yeah.
He's actually on
actual assignment. Yeah. Which is nice. Yeah, I'm interested to see what he comes back with. That'll be. There's been a lot of talk about that thing.
Yeah,
I can't wait to find out what game. He just won't tell me.
That's right. No, you don't get to know.
No.
We're here with the Giant Bombcast. Jason A. Striker's here. Hello.
Hello, hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Ben Pack is in the building.
Hello.
Hi.
Great. All right.
I haven't been sleeping a lot.
Should we do that one again?
All right. Ben Pack is here.
Hey, guys.
And 3, 2. And it's Ben Pack.
What up? What up? It's your boy,
It's my
Ben.
boy.
And I'm here to say I like video games in a major way.
All right. Not going to
Okay.
get.
No.
Let's just take 2
It's
out of
only gonna
those.
get
It's only
worse.
getting worse.
Yeah.
Jan,
We'll work it
Jerome, Ochoa.
Every
Down
time,
there.
every
Ginger
time you say the
Rome.
full name, I think I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
That's
I
you are. You fucking
Jesus.
are.
God damn. Okay. All right.
Cut the shit.
We've been talking to
Okay.
your
I'll
parents.
fade to black.
All right.
I'll fade to
All right.
black. Jeez. Let's do this off air at least.
No.
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Hey.
It's going all right.
What's cooking? Good looking.
Whoa. All right. I got to go to HR now.
Okay, so that's why I keep
yeah.
getting in trouble.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Okay, I got.
Jan Jerome Ochoa. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
HR should have to use your full name whenever they talk to you.
They know what it is. That's for sure. We're here. We're here to talk about video games and other stuff.
Yeah. This
Uh,
excites me.
Have a crack at video
Have a
games
crack
and
at
maybe
these
pop
video
culture
games.
at large.
okay, let's start with pop culture at large. I spilled hot coffee on my crotch yesterday.
Uh-oh.
like the
lawsuit.
McDonald's.
So yeah, that's I got to get a lawyer. Is it? Can you sue? Who do you sue if you spill it on yourself? Like,
Well,
Whoever
they
gave it to you.
It shouldn't have been that hot.
Yeah,
okay.
it shouldn't have been that hot.
The
They
cup
should have
should have
given
been
you a
better.
warning
yeah.
stating that it was like scalding
Is it the
hot.
makers of the cup holder, the cardboardy kind of thing
At large, that's
yeah.
that's
that
where the
failed
civil
on me
lawsuit
and
comes
dumps
in.
coffee over into my genital region?
Yeah, probably.
My genital triangle got lit the fuck up.
Ooh.
Damn.
Uh,
That
If you're
doesn't
building a
sound
giant bomb soundboard at home,
fun. You just completed
please send
bingo.
it was a bummer. Just
That
gonna
does
put
sound
that
like a
out there.
bummer.
It was unfortunate.
Yeah.
I was gonna drink that drink.
How'd you dry off? Just let it air dry?
Well, it was very cold outside. I was in the car.
Okay.
So made a mess in the car. On
Yep.
top of that, I was getting out of the car trying to get these drinks situated.
Sure.
And then it just dumped over. I should point out this thing had already failed once, and I'd already dropped the drink once
No.
getting into the car.
As your lawyer, I'd forbid you from
yeah, no, that didn't
saying
happen.
anything.
Okay, all right,
else.
all right,
Okay,
forget about
that part didn't happen.
Plead the fifth.
Okay, I don't know anything about why half the drink was already gone.
Okay.
But and why a portion of it was on the side of my car. God fucking damn it, man! Holy shit!
That was this morning?
That was last night.
That was last night?
That was last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you getting coffee at night?
Why
not?
I had it
Yeah,
was like
so-
6.
I had a
Okay.
night coffee last night.
Yeah, it was
I had
not.
to stay
A
up
nice
for a
night
movie.
coffee.
Yeah, I didn't want to fall asleep.
Yeah, totally.
My wife needed a drink from
Yo.
the coffee place, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna get something for me too. Why not?"
Get something for
And it
yourself.
was yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I
Get
treated
yourself a little
myself
something.
to scalding hot crotch.
Usually, it's reserved for other people to treat you to scalding hot crotch.
And I gave it to myself.
Yeah,
well,
warmed it right up.
Yeah, some people pay a lot of money for that.
and then
You
it got
just-
extremely
You just
cold.
paid under 99 cents,
Yeah,
probably.
because I had to open the door. Like I went full like fucking old man. Like god damn it! Like,
these cups.
like I threw the cup onto my lawn and was just like
And you yelled, "Get off my lawn!"
basically, yeah. And then stood out in the freezing cold air for a little while, and it cooled quite quickly.
Okay.
But yeah, that basically I feel like dropping coffee twice. That's how things have been going for me lately. That's pretty much sums up like
Jumping like it's hot.
fucking myself up in stupid ways and just like, oh god, yeah. Having shit go wrong. That's basically been the last month or so of things.
That sounds great.
2019, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
I'm-
the
I'm-
new
New
year.
you.
I figure it's like that has to be the culmination.
Yep.
Like I'm just like, oh, yeah, dumped coffee on my balls.
I mean, just
and
think about the
made a
third-
mess in the car.
Where you could have spilled it the third time.
Yeah, if I kept going.
The bottom just drops out, fills up your cup holder.
Whoops, I fell over, and then this coffee cup fell in the air, and then it landed right in my beehole, and now like that's. I feel like that's the only
Like
way it could have been worse.
Ear, into your brain.
Right, sure, yes. And then it turned out to have like whatever amoebas are in the unclean water, and then I get a brain virus on top of that. That I guess that could have been worse.
Yeah, Jeff, you didn't think about the brain virus.
I didn't think about the brain virus.
Is that fair trade though for the coffee, the brain virus?
Yeah, it's a free trade, single origin
labs table
brain virus that they give you there. It's nice stuff. Arabica.
Delicious.
As a person that has almost spilled coffee on a person while serving them, it's not a good time.
No,
it's not a good time.
I bet.
Yeah, the coffee shop I used to work at had way too high of counters, and there's people come in all different shapes and sizes. But there'd be times where a customer would be ordering coffee, and I could just not see them. I only just see the top of their head.
Oh, on the top of their head, not their bottom of their chest.
No, because with you, Ben, I could just look up. And then like I'd place their coffee on the counter, and then as they were also reaching for it,
oh no,
it slowly started tipping, and then I just slapped it out of their hand so it wouldn't fall on them. And then lo and behold, they had a baby on them.
Oh,
so
you saved
slapped
that.
a baby mama?
Yep, 2019.
All right, great.
I'd made her a fresh cup of coffee, but then after slapping that cup of coffee out of her hand, but that time I walked it around to give it to her rather than just
here you are.
Yeah.
No, see, like if it could have been ratcheted up at that point if you had slapped the coffee into the face of someone else who was just like standing there with a newspaper, and then coffee comes through the newspaper into their
Disintegrates
face. Yes, disintegrating the newspaper in the process.
That could have been like a villain's origin story.
Right, exactly.
Right there.
Yeah, you could have created the Bean Man. No, I don't know. That's not bad. That's a terrible
Beanie
name.
Siegel.
Yeah,
I don't
there you
know.
go. You created Beanie Siegel. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beans.
It's gonna go caffeine crazy.
Yeah.
on your beehole. Give you a brain tumor.
Some people do that with coffee enemas.
Virus.
Anyway.
It wakes you up in a different way.
Yeah. Well, it's like some people do, like it's the whole like pouring vodka or
What?
alcohol
Are you talking
up
about
there
butt
too.
chugging?
I'm talking about butt chugging.
It's
I mean, if you have to give
11
it a
on
name,
Tuesday. You can't talk about butt chugging.
I feel like I was talking about that before it had a fancy name like butt chugging.
Before
You're just
John
mad you
Cena
didn't
was
come up
doing
with
it in
butt
movies.
Exactly.
Wait, the Marine?
Yeah.
No,
the
Bumblebee.
one.
Bumblebee.
Oh, okay.
Butt chugs.
Butt chugs would be a good name.
There was an episode
chugging.
of My Strange Addiction.
Yeah.
You ever watch that?
No, I've seen it.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it advertised.
There was an episode of that
Okay.
like it was a couple that was addicted to coffee enemas.
coffee enemas.
And they just like were just boiled.
Not the vodka.
They were
ones.
making coffee. No, not the vodka ones. That's
Okay.
a whole different. I watched a guy have that done to him against his will in a bathroom once. Anyway,
Okay.
it was a rough bar.
Yeah.
They were making coffee by on a stove. It seemed like they just had like huge
Big vats of coffee.
that they were like, all right, pour this in my butt. Let's go. That's a
on the
good.
stove, so it was like hot still. Like
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of television. I watched every episode of that show.
you just described coffee in your crotch. I couldn't imagine it going in the other side.
That woke me up.
Yeah.
To be
that's
fair,
true.
I was like not for very long, but there was a minute there where I was like, "Fuck."
Felt alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get like a good funnel to like withstand that heat.
I bet.
I suppose,
yeah.
yeah.
You're not getting a plastic funnel at that point.
Yeah.
But if you, I guess you want like a metal on the inside, plastic on the outside,
Right.
Because you don't want it to get hot to the touch.
I mean, they've probably
Exactly.
thought about this process.
Oh yeah,
They probably
if you're-
failed a few times.
Yeah, no. If you're
and
using a funnel to put things in your ass at all, I feel like you. Well, no. Either you've thought about it like all the way,
Yep.
or not at all.
I'm thinking about it now. I don't want any sharp edges. I
There's
know
no
that.
middle ground in that. You've either like
Right.
spent like weeks going like, all right, okay, we got to file down the edge on this because look at it, it's crazy, or you're
Yeah.
just like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Tuesday.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a
Or
great
good
day.
afternoon.
Yeah, we don't know where you are.
Yeah.
Could be
Wherever
midnight.
you are.
Could be after hours. It's an after hours show.
Where did we go from coffee enemas?
Where don't
Video
we go?
games.
Video games. How about them?
They're like a different kind of enema.
It's an enema for the mind.
Yeah. And
More-
the soul.
Mortal Kombat 11.
Yes.
That's the subtitle for it, actually.
An enema for the soul.
Yeah.
Has that been a fatality, giving someone a violent enema?
Not.
I mean, we haven't seen all the fatalities.
Yeah,
No
no, we've
spoilers.
not seen all the MK11 fatalities, but it's hard to say. No,
You're right.
generally, I feel like they
Yeah.
don't
They
necessarily.
don't go around the nether realm.
Yeah, not too much.
Oh boy.
Or would that be a friendship? It
Yeah.
kind of depends on the circumstances.
You're
There's
right.
a lot of stuff. I don't want to.
Sub-Zero, I've
gentle it
been
is.
having some disturbances. I need you to
Yeah.
Needs
take
to
a look
butt
for me,
chug
buddy.
this. Get that funnel.
The Wizard Quan Chi.
Goro's got all his arms. It'd be real easy for him. He could have 2 to hold it open and 2 to put it in.
Oh,
He could do it to himself.
That's true.
Yeah,
You
yeah, he
can't-
could.
you brought us
you're
here,
right.
Jeff.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No.
expect us to sit in the car?
2 to hold it open is not that's the part that was over the line for me personally. Is
And
the
that's the
visual
title of the episode.
visual of Goro's lower arms
Gorotsi.
being used. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Nobody
You
wins.
found it. You found it.
Nobody wins.
Jesus.
So you went down to see that game?
Yeah, so I went to
Jeff?
Los Angeles. I went to LA for the big Mortal Kombat 11 event, where they revealed the game. If you remember, they did not announce the game at E3.
Yeah. Still wanted them to.
They
But
announced it at the Game Awards, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. They
with
announced it at the
a-
Game
with a
Awards,
trailer.
and then at that point they said, "Hey, we're going to reveal the thing in January, and it's coming out in April."
that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So it's pretty much the same timetable that they've always been on.
Mhm.
Every other April they tend to put out a game,
Yep.
and so we're here again. And
Tell
yeah,
me about the party.
so they had it was like a warehouse in Koreatown that they had. It was
Oh.
like a lot of it was like there was a fan event. There was so I got an address. Or no,
here.
you know what? I didn't get an address. I got a street corner.
Really?
And so which felt very like we're just like underground fight. But
Yeah.
so I get to this street corner and there are buses. So I took took a cab from the airport to a street corner where there were buses that drove like 3 blocks to a warehouse space.
Blindfold you.
I don't know. It was
Like
weird.
a secret location.
Well, I
or
guess
something
I
like
guess it
that?
was a parking lot. So the
okay.
thing is, there were a lot of locals that were able to sign up through like Eventbrite. It was like a fan event
Like,
on
we
top of
wanna
that. It
fill
wasn't
this
just
place with people.
It wasn't just press
plus
and
celebs,
invited.
plus the WWE.
Yeah, right. Yes. So it was it was like off the bat had a very different feel from a lot of other events because they had a lot of fans there and stuff. So I was on this bus and they were like trying to film people being hype on the bus and people fucking jumping out trying to shout Mortal Kombat and then
People yelling, "Get over here!"
Yeah, the community manager being like, actually, if you could just not shout Mortal Kombat because we're trying to distance. He actually said we're trying to distance ourselves from the movie stuff.
Are you
And then he had
serious?
to backpedal and be like, not that
No, just have fun.
the movie is not bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
How'd that mixture go though? With because there were a lot of celebrities that were invited.
Yeah, so
and-
there were people like taking pictures with people,
Yeah.
and there was like a pop-up shop there. Like Bait was selling stuff, like
Okay.
Mortal Kombat themed gear. I bought a
Cool.
Steve Caballero Mortal Kombat skateboard deck
Rad.
autographed
sweet. Yeah.
by Caballero. It was like a cool look.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super cool.
And they were doing like custom shoes. Mr. Cartoon was there doing tattoos. Like it was just a strange.
Yeah.
They had a little room where people could dress up. They could put on like safety gear and then break
yeah.
shit.
And then just go in there and like fuck up a printer or something.
Yeah, but it was
awesome.
like empty wine bottles though. When I
Oh,
looked,
okay.
I didn't see a cool thing like a
I
printer.
saw,
Maybe they
I
ran
saw
out
a
of
TV in
printers.
there.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It would that.
Yeah, you got to get there early for the printers.
It just
Okay.
didn't. That part of it specifically didn't seem very Mortal Kombat to me.
It's raging
It was just,
juices.
Test your
yeah,
might.
it was just
Yeah,
That's,
there you
that's
go.
what I said too. But it was weird. But whatever. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
No, like immediate. You look at that, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah,
Okay.
I love in Mortal Kombat when they beat up the printer."
It felt like someone who didn't think highly of Mortal Kombat came up with that. But like, yeah, just fuck shit up, I guess. I don't know.
But the thing is, totally works. And I bet,
it
like,
ended up being
I
fun.
bet you there were tons of people who were super into it.
So how'd they show the game off to you then?
So they basically did a 45-minute presentation where they showed some gameplay. They did their story stuff, a handful of trailers, and then said, "Okay,
Like
cool."
character reveals
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah.
Okay.
Like, okay, go play the game.
Okay.
And then so I very quickly interviewed Ed Boon,
Mm-hmm.
which that has not gone up on the site yet. I need to put that together and put it up. And
Audio version.
Yes.
Okay.
And then went and played the game in a separate area. But they had an area with kiosks. They had people basically lined up to get in to the area where the kiosks were, and then they had a separate area for people that were doing capture.
Right.
So I was over in that area doing capture. And so I played the game for about 45 minutes.
Yeah. Would you have access to like the tower?
It was like 6 characters, 1
character.
tower, and like a versus mode. Basically,
Okay.
and so but also like a lot of the menus for customizing the characters and all that sort of stuff. So I got a sense of
cool.
how that stuff's going to go, at least a little bit. It's a lot of consumables.
There's a lot of
aspect
consumables
the
and like slots that you have to fill up with abilities, and that'll you can create your own custom layout,
right?
Which is, or loadout.
How similar is it to the system in Injustice 2?
It is like you see that system there, but it is advanced, and it feels better than that in terms of like the stats are not attached to the gear. So all of the gear is cosmetic. Like if you get a cool hat or a cool ninja mask for Scorpion or whatever, you can just wear it.
Okay,
it's fine.
Sweet.
And so you can customize what it's. I think every character is going to have slightly different customizables because it's based on who they are.
Yeah.
So like for Scorpion, it's like there's a general outfit, I think, and then there's the mask, and then also like the tip of his spear.
Okay. So it sounds like kind of like how Dota cosmetics work, where there's different slots that can be occupied.
So like for Sub-Zero, it's like mask, and then also does he have like kunai or shurikens or little smoke bombs on his belt or something? You know? And then other kind of larger
popsicles,
costume level stuff as well. So it seems like everyone has like 3-ish slots, and so that stuff's just cosmetic. But you can equip augments onto the cosmetics. There's empty slots on each of those items, and that stuff seems to expire. That stuff is consumable. So you can slot a thing on there that'll be like... And so the one thing I'll say before we get into this is like, there was nothing said about like, hey, is this going to be in ranked? Is this going to be online? Where does this stuff function? Because the whole other batch of consumables that we haven't gotten into yet seems to only be useful in the tower.
Okay. Like assists.
Right.
Things like that.
Okay. And so this would be like, hey, Sub-Zero's slide does 5% more block damage. Shit like that.
And you said these are consumable. Is it like a one-time thing? Is it like 10? Is it like a set number of times?
I think it's a set number of times. So they had the profiles juiced up with basically like, 99 of everything. And so it was hard to get a sense of like how that stuff would work. But also when I did finish that one tower that was in the game, I unlocked a shitload of stuff.
Okay.
Like, so, if I think about Injustice 2... Injustice 2 was a system that when I looked at it at first, it was like, this is gross.
Yeah.
But then it was actually, by the time I had finished the story mode, I had more stuff than I knew what to do with. And the idea of paying money for more seemed completely ridiculous because of just how much shit was being I was getting too much gear in that game, if anything.
That's where you don't want it to cross the line when it comes to consumable stat items in fighting games. You don't want it to be a pay to win situation.
No, definitely
you
not.
don't want it to be like in a PvP scenario, you're equally skilled, but the other person has spent more money.
Right.
Like, I feel like Injustice, I didn't play a lot of it, but hearing you guys talk about it and seeing it, it seemed like it was the buffs and stuff like that weren't hugely noticeable, and it seemed like everyone had access to at least a few things if you played like an hour of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. You were just getting that stuff nonstop, and it would, if you were lower level than another player, it would kind of match you up. If you were playing ranked, it would be a whole different way to balance it that way. So I think they did okay in Injustice 2 with that stuff. So I think they've got rope here in terms of like this system could work.
Yeah,
it's an evolution of that system.
It is, yes. And then there were then in Injustice 2 there were gear pieces that also, or no, was it just like you had slots to actually add moves, and so in some cases you could replace one move with a variant of the move, and this has that as well, where you'll have a handful of slots to slot some moves on. I didn't have moves to equip, but there were some of the loadouts that had them already.
And so these are equipable things. These aren't like in MK. Where you
it wasn't like you had the 3. It wasn't the 3 style. Basically, like you pick your character, and then every loadout you've created is there, and you can cycle through them and pick one. And presumably they'll have some preset loadouts. Because why wouldn't they?
I saw some like weird named ones, like
you can name them whatever
like
you want.
Boone's Main or something like that.
And that was just That's not in the final game. That was
Right.
just there to show that you could name it whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
They had to clarify that because people were like, "Oh my god, that's going to be a." Like, no,
It should be in the game.
I'm gonna
That'd
name
be fun.
Boone's Main.
Yeah. So that would be stuff like Sub-Zero has his slide, but he also has a shoulder charge. So you're basically like swapping the slide out for the shoulder charge,
Okay.
and there'll be some differences there. It's a standing move, so it's got a different hitbox, and I'm sure probably some different wind up and recovery and all that other stuff too. But
I saw a character like with Garrus, like he's got to rewind like a add time, or you can reverse time.
Yeah,
or,
I saw that. You take 30 seconds off the clock.
yeah, you can like add
Whoa.
30 seconds or subtract it, and but it's balanced in a way that you get the 3 slots, but each of those are like they take up 2 slots, so you
Yeah.
can't have both of them.
Right.
That stuff's funny. And then some of that stuff would be like, oh, here's like basically like 2 more ice balls for Sub-Zero to have. Like they don't necessarily freeze a guy, but it's like here's a he's got like a little kind of multi-throw ninja star thing with a really short range on it. That was actually pretty cool. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And so it was changes like that, and you kind of get into the variations that way.
Mm-hmm.
The system seemed pretty robust, but it's hard to get a full sense for it without getting in there and unlocking the stuff yourself and all that. So with the build of the game they had, you could see little bits and pieces of it, but didn't necessarily get the full picture of that stuff.
How apparent was it, like what your opponent had, like in their layout or loadout?
I didn't play much versus.
Okay.
So, but I guess the AI they were using the loadouts. But I
wonder.
You can
Like
hit a
if
button.
you would know at the outset what exactly
I
they're
feel like you
capable
would
of.
because
Yeah.
on the versus screen you can hit triangle at any point to view your own loadout.
Okay.
And it'll show which moves you have equipped.
Gotcha.
As well as whatever stat, like basically what's equipped on the character.
Okay.
So I have to imagine that
I
also
would
shows
assume
it for
so.
the other character,
I
but
just
I
wondered
can't say with certainty.
how
I've got the
percent-
footage. We can go look and see if it shows up at any point.
Okay.
I'm curious how this plays in like a tournament setting. With different move variants. Is that stuff going to be? Is it unlocked from the get go? Is it something you have to work for?
Yeah, I wonder.
So you'll get drops out of like finishing towers, or if it's anything like Injustice 2, and from what I saw in the game. So I finished the 1 tower that was in there, and at the
Right.
end of it, it gave me like 9 things, and some of it was a currency that you could use for the crypt or whatever else.
Is it coins with a K?
I'm pretty sure there are coins, but there are also different types of crystals, and
Oh,
Injustice 2 had like 4
Different
currencies or
currencies,
something.
yeah.
So yeah. So I'd imagine you would just play the game to unlock stuff, and if it's anything like Injustice 2, and from talking to them about how this will go, it seems like you'll play the story mode and get stuff, and
Yeah.
you'll get things.
Did they talk about the story at all?
Yeah. So that's Garrus, the character they revealed,
Mhm.
the playable character they revealed. They also revealed Chronica, the first female end boss in a Mortal Kombat game.
Really?
How many
And
arms
I didn't
does
see
she
that.
have?
she does 2 arms,
Mm.
no hair. Her and Garrus are the same. Like they
What?
seem
Race or
to be
whatever.
this. They
Okay.
seem to be working together.
Oh, gotcha.
And her whole thing. So because they both manipulate time, so the whole story in this one, which granted they is already a reboot based on weird timeline stuff. This is now Chronica, and she has been running everything in the shadows the entire time, stepping in because Raiden has fucked it up beyond repair. And she's like, okay, the timeline has gotten way too fucked
My
up.
lightning's
is
red all of
she-
a sudden. What the hell's going on?
Is she cognizant of old Mortal Kombat?
So yes.
What?
So
Whoa.
this will basically it sounds like that they are working her into every major event that has ever happened
All right.
in the entire franchise.
Seems like they're having fun with
yeah,
it.
it seems like they're having fun with it. That's yes. That's and I didn't see that in action, but that's from talking to that's what it sounded like. Is
They're gonna-
that she
Digitally, like put her into all the
yeah.
cutscenes.
But, like, her-
Or,
is it like
peeking around
like
a
Back to the
corner.
Future? It's just gonna be like fucking Johnny. That photo of Johnny Cage is gonna be slowly fading away until you write the timeline.
She's actually the one in the back of that level where you knock the guy into the acid pit.
Yes, she's been hornbuckle this
Yeah,
entire time.
That's right.
So I don't know if they'll have fun. I assume that they'll have some fun with that, but I guess that also lets them. It frees them from whatever story shit has resulted in a lot of characters being dead,
Yeah.
and opens them up to having younger versions of characters appear and stuff like that. So it seems like in terms of what characters could appear in this game, like Striker, for example. If they wanted to put Striker in this game,
I would be okay.
they
with
could
that.
probably put Striker in the game. They
Think
probably
of his
should.
cool
If they-
cosmetic guns.
Yeah, exactly.
And flashlights.
Yes, cool flashlight. This flashlight's a different.
Tactical
This is a red one.
batons.
I heard some people or I saw some people rather that were upset with not a lot of talk about the combat kids.
They were not mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Shucks.
four big characters from the story mode last time around. Yeah, not mentioned at all.
Interesting.
So that doesn't mean that they're not in it.
No, yeah.
But
They were, yeah. I remember, somebody who didn't play a lot of the game, just hearing a lot about, Cassie Cage and
Right.
all them, and kind of making them the main.
yeah, if anything, they seem to be
Characters.
refocusing on Sonya because they've given her a voice, a famous voice,
Yeah.
And face,
along the way. And yeah, so they had 6 characters in the build. They kind of teased a 7th, and they're going to start up their live streams to reveal characters and do all that sort of stuff. But it was, when you think about what the game normally has to show when they would announce it at E3, this was way more than that. This had finishers in. This had,
cool.
they had a trailer to show you the story. Like there was much more to this build of the game,
Right.
Than when you normally get first playable.
You would hope so. If they're
Yeah.
inviting Cody Rhodes, they better have some fatality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's not going to show up.
Exactly. Yeah. He was there.
Yeah. Tell me how it played,
as well as the
man.
chief brand officer. So it is similar to the previous games,
Okay.
but they've made some really smart changes. So they've broken, which will sound complicated, but I actually think this game will end up being better for more people.
Okay.
That's my early take on it anyway. We'll see how it pans out.
How
but
so?
it has basically they have taken their one 3-segmented meter, replaced it with 2 separate meters and a desperation move. So normally, each level of meter in MKX, at level 1 you could do an EX move,
Yep.
or they call it enhanced moves, and in this one they call it amplify.
EX move.
In EX. At 2 bars you could do a combo breaker,
Mhm.
and at 3 bars you could do your X-ray.
Oh, but okay.
So X-rays are gone.
Yep.
In that form. You now have 2 meters. You have an offensive meter and a defensive meter.
Okay.
Interesting.
Offensive meter. Each meter has 2 sections on it, and some characters just have moves that always use meter. Like Garrus's time shit
Mhm.
is always it always takes a chunk of meter to do. Like he's got a move that just will freeze someone in the air. You can punch them a bunch and they'll stay there frozen, and then they unfreeze and take all the damage.
Put him in jail. Oh, wow.
It's pretty fucking neat.
Wow. He sounds
pretty
Sounds like
fucking-
he
with the
sounds
Flash.
amazing.
Yeah,
like,
he seems nasty. So
Two
there-
meters,
So
yeah.
there's 2 meters. Yes. So if you're doing an amplify, that will burn 1 chunk of the meter. It will eventually come back. All that sort of stuff. The defensive meter, I don't actually know what it's used for. The game has perfect blocking in it. So if you
Yeah,
do a
I've
frame
seen-
perfect
I've
block,
seen that.
it'll do like a
Bounce 'em back a
push,
little
push
bit?
block kind of thing. Yeah.
Push block. Okay.
To open them up for a counter
Yeah.
if you can time it just right. But I don't get the impression that takes defensive meter. We'll have to watch some of the footage that they put out because we'll watch this whole 45 minutes I recorded or whatever. You will never see that defensive meter move once
okay.
because I don't know what the fuck to do with it. But I do it sounds like combo breakers are not in the game.
No, I've heard
because
that they're not, yeah.
and they have taken running out. It is now just a forward dash when you double
Thank
tap.
God, no more run combos.
And it really that's why I say I think the game is a little more down to earth, a little something that I think that more people will be able to wrap their mind around some of that stuff because of the run combo business maybe being toned down. Like it's there will be long combos in this game, but it seems like it is more manageable to the point where they feel comfortable taking the breaker out.
Yeah.
The breaker
Yeah.
always felt like that crutch of just like, well, we need to make sure everyone can get out of this combo if they're
Right.
if they're up in the air for 8 seconds and all that other stuff. Like this seems a little more down to earth. Of course, I'm saying that now as A, not a pro player, B, the pro players that were there doing a tournament had not had a ton of time with the game.
Exactly, yeah.
So they
it's
were not
it's hard
they
for
were
us
not
to know
doing
exactly,
that
yeah.
much wild shit.
Yeah, they're probably doing the stuff they were used to in the last
Right,
or
yeah.
Injustice.
So like a lot I feel like right now the game seemed a little more reasonable in that sense. Like you weren't just getting rocked and you weren't just getting juggled forever.
I think games like Tekken and Cross Tag Battle have shown that you can make fighting games more accessible than
Totally.
they have been in the last few years, and to great results.
Yep.
So.
And so the last thing that I think also is something that can make it more accessible is so instead of that full meter X-ray move, which you never saw in tournament play because everyone was using their meter
Like
for
EX.
EXs and breakers and stuff. Now that is off to its own separate thing, and it is when you are below 30% health, and it's now called a fatal blow.
Yep.
And so it's a desperation move, like an SNK style, like, hey, if you're below this, pull the triggers and you do it.
Gotcha.
And those are just as extravagant as they
Those
always
are
were.
Fucking brutal, man.
Yeah, they are fucked up. They don't always have X-ray, like they don't always have skulls and bones in them like they used to, because now they're called fatal blows. They don't have to. They don't have to like force bones into every single one.
I saw some other like zoom in mechanics like the X-ray that are like counters or something like that. Like I saw a bunch of like uppercuts where it would actually show like the jaw being crushed.
Crushing blows.
Crushing blows. Explain that.
I've only done this. So that's stuff that was in the game that I thought was just like Tekken shit. Of, hey, look at this cool thing. In terms of just like, so it still has background interaction. You can still, grab a mace out of the background and swing it, that type of shit. And when you do that, it'll almost always do the zoom in slow motion, look at this guy's ribs cracking thing. But it sounds like some of that is situational and based on like, hey, if you hit like this many uppercuts in a round, it's going to be more likely to do this crushing blow.
Okay.
Which sounds weird. I want to see like that system kind of laid out. Maybe someone, I'll look around and see if anyone on any of the fighting game sites has really broken that down.
Counter hit.
Yeah, it seems like it would just be like a crush counter, like some kind of like deep counter thing, but. Like there's stuff about it that seems a little out of the ordinary from what I've read so far.
Either way, it looks fucking awesome.
It looks really good. But so there's an option in the settings there where you can make it so those only happen if you hold down the attack button.
Okay.
So there's more to it than that, is what I'm saying. It's like it's kind of like, okay, if this is something where like, okay, I want to have to hold down the button to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
And is it going to open people up for a further counter? Is what the implication is there, I think, but. I can't say that with certainty because to me it just looked like a cosmetic thing of just like, oh, they played a bunch of Tekken and said, hey, we need to have some fucking badass slow-mo hits.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there might be a little bit more like gameplay to it than that.
All right, so we got meters down.
Yeah.
All right.
It's got a short hop.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Like King of Fighter style?
Yeah, seems like it.
Like SNK, like tap
I think it's a tap.
Okay.
I saw them do it while they were playing it and then didn't do a ton of it myself.
All right.
But they did show that. And then, a lot of the strings and combos and stuff like that are going to look like what you're, used to from Mortal Kombat. You're kind of tap out some stuff. I think the animation looks better. There's been a lot of people kind of picking that stuff apart.
Yeah,
going,
breaking it down.
This looks way more sensible and human.
And like more impactful.
Right.
Yep.
Like the hits just look really brutal. It has brutalities in it, like the last one, those kind of round endings. So like I kept doing one with Sub-Zero where if you end the round with an uppercut, or if you end the match with an uppercut, it just knocks his head off, old MK1 style.
All right. And that just counts as the brutality?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which that stuff was in MKX. It was like each character had a handful of weird, if you ended the round this specific way.
That's right.
Like end the round with an EX spear, and it'll
it.
Just pull them apart, or whatever. So like those are back,
cool.
As well as, fatalities. The fatalities are grim.
They really are.
They're really fucked up.
Yeah.
I guess I said that about the last one because but even by comparison, you're just like, what the fuck, man?
I'm not going to be able to play this around my son at all.
Well, just don't do the finishers.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe they'll have friendships.
But then all the X-rays
Mortal
and
Kombat and not do the finishers.
That's not the house we live in.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
We do fatalities in this house.
Griffin, I'm about to win. Go in the closet.
Turn around. You can't see this lady's eyeballs come out of her head. A lot of eyeballs.
A lot of eyeballs?
Really?
Oh, no.
In the finishers that they've shown so far. But not like eyeballs being plucked. It's like, hey, I blew up your head so much that you just see a straight eyeball flying out of it.
Yo, she stabbed someone with their own blood.
Yeah. Scarlett's back. She was DLC in MK9.
Yeah.
And she's in it making blood spears and all this other stuff. And I don't know, to me, Mortal Kombat is hilarious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get why with this game and the last one, you've started to see some people be like, hey, this is too much. Hey, this is like uncool. This is fucked up. And I get it.
Like
I get it. Like whatever. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
But also it's to me like the Like Garrus has a fatality where he fucking at the end of it, he basically palm strikes the back of the person's head and their fucking face pops off and brain pops out. So the slow-mo at the end of it is this face with the front of it exploded off. You see the bottom part of the face at the front. You see the brain halfway coming out of the fucking head. And that's where it stops. It says you win.
And it just freezes on that.
Like, to me, that is just that is MK1 plus technology.
Yeah.
You know, that is the same fucking gruesome shit. They're just able to.
That's why I really like the Injustice ones, because since they were like shoehorned into not being gory, they had to get really weird and creative with it. Like Batman's where he grabs you with his fucking jet, or the like.
But like those weren't finishers; those were supers.
Yeah,
and so the supers are still really inventive in that same way.
Right.
They can also just be bloody.
Yeah.
But like one of them just has Sonya pulling out a pistol and shooting the person in the fucking head, and that is a super. I don't think that's a fatality, because they just get back up and keep fucking fighting. It's ridiculous.
I don't want anything that I could theoretically see in real life.
Sure.
In Mortal Kombat.
All of this could happen.
I want it to be extremely
Blood
cartoonish.
Spears, all this.
Well, no, I mean like the gun thing.
Yeah,
is,
the gun.
Yes.
It's to me, it strikes a weird balance between, like, I don't really like horror movies and gore type stuff, like, generally, but I feel like this is still somehow true to the spirit of 9 rib cages popping out of a thing, in that it is so over the top and crazy. You're just like, fucking, what the fuck?
Okay, that I'm okay with.
But it is not
absurd, like, you know, kind of funny, gory.
But
stuff.
it's. Yeah, I don't know. I understand why some people would not see it as funny, gory, and just go like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Okay. Yeah, I got to see more of them, I guess.
Because some of them are, fucked up.
Great,
very fucked up.
Oh boy!
Don't show Jack Thompson.
No, show Jack Thompson. Yeah, I think it.
He's my main. That's my main layout.
I think it plays well. You know, the tower stuff is back, like I said. You know, and in the tower you can also, that's where the other consumable stuff shows up.
Okay.
And those are like assists.
Yeah, those seem really cool.
Yeah, it's like they've had it before, where like, oh, you know, here's a weird modifier where rockets are constantly falling out of the sky. Like now it's like you can kind of equip those and then flick the right stick to use them.
Okay.
So I guess if you're using a fight stick, you know, you might not have a right stick to use.
Well.
But if you're using a fight stick, you're probably not going to want to use the damn modifiers anyway, because you take it too seriously. So it probably works out in a weird way. So some of the assists that you're equipping take up 1 slot. You have 3 slots to work with. If you take a character, that takes all 3 of your slots. So Scorpion, like, is an assist character where if you flick towards on the right stick, he comes in and does a spear. If you hit back on it, he comes in and does a teleport punch,
like the cross tag.
Yeah, and that's how that works. But generally, it's like with the other moves, it's like if they push down on the right stick, a meteorite falls and hits the guy.
Say a meteorite.
Yeah, I don't know. Cyrax's net shoots out and catches the guy, and then you can fuck him up some more, and you know, like all that stuff's blockable, and it's all on a cooldown, so you can't just quite spam it out, but you can spam all 3 of them in a quick succession in a way that, like, you know, I get the impression these are not going to be things you're going to use in an actual online match. They seem like things that are there for things like the tower and just kind of fuck around type modes. It's hard to envision those being usable in any kind of setting beyond
They could be super fun and casual, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're real goofy.
Yeah.
You know, this is like, here's homing missiles.
Yep.
You know.
I imagine some like nutty combos where you're just resetting people with meteors and stuff mid combo.
Yeah, totally. Like, and they've had stuff like that in, you know, via codes in like MP3 and stuff like that. But here they're consumables, which is kind of a different story. But we'll see. We'll see how many of those you get just by playing the game and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
That might be. It's a potential concern, I suppose. But
who'd you play as mostly?
I went around, you know, because I was, you know, capturing footage the whole time. So I was like, okay, there are 6 characters. I'm gonna just make sure I play as everybody.
Good.
But I probably ended up playing most as Sub-Zero, because I went through the tower as Sub-Zero.
Sure.
And
how'd you feel not having an ice clone?
I'm okay with it because he's kind of he's kind of had it and not had it. Also, I bet he's totally got it. I bet there's an equipable.
I've heard there's no ice clone.
0 ice clone.
0 ice
okay.
clone.
Yeah.
0 ice clone.
I figured that would be something you can equip that on the character and have ice clone back if you want it.
Nope.
At the expense of
It's gone.
whatever.
I'm hearing it's gone, Jeff.
Okay.
It's
Well, I'm
fucking out.
hearing it's not there at all.
This would be coming out
April.
Yeah.
Any
As
other
is tradition.
roadmap plans, like a beta or anything?
Yeah, they have beta in March.
Beta in March.
And they're going to be running streams to reveal characters and do stuff like that. So a shortened PR cycle compared to what they normally do, but probably like way more focused and info packed.
Yeah, it'll be fun leading up. I'll be watching.
I'm excited to see potential guest characters. You know, that's kind of a weird standard now in a lot of fighting games.
Yeah, they've kind of made it their
they've
thing.
had a tradition of it.
for the last few games
both
now.
in Injustice and in MK.
Yeah, I don't know. I went back and played some MKX after getting home from this thing, just to kind of feel the differences. And forgot like the characters that were like, oh right, they put the alien in this, and then they like one of the variants just gives the alien like Baraka moves.
Yeah,
weird.
Alien's top tier.
I don't know, like that. This says more about me, I guess, but I care enough about the existing characters of Mortal Kombat and that lore such that I feel that when you put like a Leatherface in there, it kind of cheapens the whole thing. Or like Kratos when they did that too. It's just like whatever, man.
I just have a hard time taking MK like super seriously, and it seems like they're rewinding and rewriting, you know, their own history now, and it's maybe they don't take it as seriously.
Yeah, what if the Prince of Persia's in it?
What if?
What if?
He would fit right the fuck in.
Yeah, all this time.
Yo, can we talk about Garrus for a second? Like, he's a grappler character. You can equip it so that, like, if you whiff your command grab and they punish you, you can be like, nah, I'm going to go back 4 seconds in time. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm... Or like
the whole thing of like being able to remove 30 seconds from the in-game clock to me is just so stupid and brilliant.
Well, they can't bring it below like 9 seconds or something like that.
You can't use it to like instantly end a round or anything. And all, you know, it's a risk reward thing because there are going to be instances where you're behind and you just don't want to use it ever because you're behind. But like it's such a idea that I can't think of another fighting game that has messed with the in-game clock to that extent.
No joke. Oh my God.
It's a sacred pillar of fighting games. And
say you're at 40 seconds, you've got a life lead. If you suck that like 30 seconds away to where it's like only 10 seconds left and just run away.
Just run away. But then you like
the trolliest shit. Oh my God. You know, can him.
Clearly they played dive kick.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
He's a really, really
I really like his trailer.
He seemed really neat too. Just his moves were really interesting.
I'm glad they
like
they
it was.
put that out
It was
there.
a mixture of like time shit and sand shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna make
like
big
a certain
like a certain
guy from a
I
Royal. I know.
don't know what you're talking about. You know, it was just like making hammers out of sand, then crush a guy.
Cool.
You know, like as you know, lifting guys up into the air with sand blasts and you know, like that sort of stuff.
Working with sand, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
I was thinking more of a Gara, but all right.
Fair enough.
You're always thinking about Gara.
You're right.
So yeah, I've got some footage of that I got to a place where it was usable, and we'll talk over that stuff this week, and show it off to people.
Awesome.
That's MK11.
Yeah.
You play much of anything?
Yeah.
What are you into?
I beat a game actually.
All right.
Yeah, it was Kingdom Hearts. I beat Kingdom Hearts 0.2. Jan, is that good?
Which one is
Is that
0.2?
apparently the most recent
mobile?
one.
Okay. Is that a web game?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a full-fledged like PS4 game.
What
I think.
Did you play it on a place? Where did you play this video game?
I bought the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5, and then the 2.8. I bought the two different bundles. One of the bundles has the 1.5 and the 2.5, and then the second bundle has 2.8. But it also has 0.2. That's the one I played because it was the most recent. So I figure if I go backwards, I'm going to get most of the story
if you
straight
played
out of the gate.
2.8 and 0.2, you basically played 3.
Exactly. Yep. So I played 0.2, and I'm just going to add that to my knowledge of 2.8, and then I'm going to have the full story, and I'm going to be fully ready for Kingdom Hearts 3.0 when that comes out this Friday.
That's really out this week.
Yeah, that's out this week.
You're fucking with me.
I feel like I don't have to go back. Jan, is it?
Me neither.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, Jason.
Yeah.
But then the not fully numbered games, I'm gonna say, don't matter.
Okay. So like
But
Birth by Sleep
isn't that
doesn't
where
matter,
they
but
introduce the main antagonist for the entire series?
They'll eventually retcon it all in like
yeah, probably
when 3 comes out.
You'd like to think that it's been long enough since one of these came out that 3 would recap and recontextualize everything for potentially new players, right?
You would hope.
You would like to think that.
Yeah, that seems like what they should do.
I would assume like the first
they didn't do
chapter,
that in 2 though. I don't think.
They kind of like recapped like
Really?
what had happened in the first game because
they start you off with like a different character.
Yeah, but then like he like goes to sleep and then it's like, oh wait, I'm really Sora. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I went to sleep before that
Yeah.
happened too. Actually,
I hate to break it to Jason also, but they had released both of those packages into one package now.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Oh
So
man,
you didn't need to buy 2 bundles.
I bought the big bundle, the $100 bundle that had all of those, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 as well.
Oh,
I don't know. It was one big bundle to me.
did you like what you played?
No, not so much. No, like it didn't feel good, like the combat or anything. And then I figured that's what the combat's going to be kind of like in 3 because it's the most recent one. I don't know if it's going to be any better. We'll see.
Did you get to ride Dumbo?
No, I wanted to. There was no Disney shit. No Disney shit. Well, except for, they brought in Mickey for a little bit.
Okay, I think that's Disney shit.
Yeah, I guess so. But he's like the king of some castle or
He's
something
a
like that.
Keyblade warrior,
And
right?
he's a Keyblade master or something like that.
Master.
Yeah, you got to take a test. You got to take a test to be a master.
He's a key master.
Aqua did that. She's now a master.
Aqua,
But she's
Aqua.
mean now,
her
right?
name is not Aqua. The
She's in
group's
the-
name is Aqua.
she's in the dark
There's
world.
4 people in it.
She's in the dark world, but she's not evil. She's going to be there as a guiding light to people that have found their way into the dark place, and she will
I
lead
found
them
my
out.
way into the dark place right now.
Me too. Is this seriously like with all the personality splits and shit like that, and people becoming nobodies and clones of themselves? Is this just teenage Twin Peaks? Seriously?
Like in retrospect, I think it is.
Okay.
And I think 3 of the games, I can't tell you which 3 specifically, are Fire Walk with Me.
Yep.
In that they'll be incredibly important to things that happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the next game.
In a way unwatchable.
And then that
Firewalk with Me is fine.
No, it is not.
I enjoy Fire Walk with Me.
There's some parts of that. All the Leland stuff is a little.
Hey, I'm not gonna.
Much.
I'm not. In a way that you like it though. Leland
all
Palmer
the
is the
Cooper stuff
9
is
rib
great.
cages of the Twin Peaks universe.
No, Gordon is the 9.
Well, Gordon is the
And then I don't know if Sora would be like the Dale Cooper of the.
I would think so.
He's
'Cause
not self-aware
he
enough.
splits into Roxas and stuff, and and then
Maybe
then
Sora
there's-
is the Leland of Kingdom Hearts.
Well, then who's Ven?
Who's Bob?
Is
Bob,
Ven?
Bob could be Roxas, kinda. Or
Because there's
Ventus.
Ven, there's Terra, and then Aqua, and those kids are the Birth by Sleep kids, right?
Yeah, those
Are they clones of anybody?
Well, no, they become clones, or like they impart themselves into Riku, Kairi, and Sora.
This is great because
Oh,
both
okay.
Kingdom Hearts fans and non-Kingdom Hearts fans have no idea what we're saying. Right
Yeah.
now.
yeah.
That's
great.
true.
Okay.
I have to question everything I'm saying right now.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on, but the deeper I get into it, the less I understand it. Like I had a kind of, like grasp of what was going on after playing that like
It's just
2 hour like 0.2 version of,
You know,
or whatever.
Honestly, it's just that
I
classic
felt pretty good.
that anime moment that when you're watching an anime and you think you kind of understand what's happening, and then you realize you don't really.
I have no
but
idea.
you just gotta roll with it. You just gotta
I don't want to roll with it anymore. I want to know.
You bought the giant
You
package.
chose this.
Why can't they explain
You
it to
didn't
me
come
better?
into Kingdom Hearts seriously expecting to understand everything that you were gonna see.
Not
did you?
everything, because I know that they've still gonna have stuff for 3, I guess. But I wanted a firmer grasp of the situation. And it's slipping away from me.
I had bought that bundle that they had released late last year,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had fired up, I think it was Dream Drop Distance,
Oh shit! Which one's that one?
and then I had just sat there for like almost an hour, realizing that it was just playing all the cinematics from the game, and I didn't realize it, and then I was confused about what was going on.
Okay.
About like, okay, so we're reliving Kingdom Hearts 1 because we've downloaded Sora's memories.
Yeah, I played.
And then we're pretty much like unfragmenting all of that, but then rewriting it so it's
that's
real now.
That's recoded, isn't it? I think that's
knows?
recoded. I want because that's just cutscenes. It's just cutscenes of whatever. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm excited for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Did anyone ride Dumbo in that footage?
No.
The cutscenes?
No. I think I saw Stitch.
What?
Stitch is cool.
Yeah, Stitch is cool. He's an alien. Got a bunch of arms.
He's like Goro.
It'll
He
be
can do the Goro
okay.
thing.
Oh, so you can. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That's not in the Disney version.
Well, we'll see.
I would hope that Kingdom Hearts 3 would open up with some type of recap to try and summarize everything that's happened.
I feel like that's something that
I hope it's
is a little
something-
more prevalent in games generally now
Mhm.
than it was when, say, 2 came out
Yeah.
or some of this other stuff. So I feel like that's maybe not
And
quite a
there's been
standard.
so many games since 2,
Right.
and it has a reputation. Like they have to know the reputation
got a
of
bad
it being hard to
reputation.
follow.
Mhm.
But maybe they like that.
Yeah,
Maybe they get off
totally.
on that and be like, hey, if you want the whole story, play all the games. We're selling them.
Yeah, I guess the Square people.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't
That's
exactly have
where
a
it kind of
history
rubs
of-
up against like, oh, it's still Square.
God.
I would just hope it's something outside of just like, oh, you just read this journal entry and then you can kind of get up to date. I just want something.
There's a
to-
really good YouTube video that I see a lot of people passing around and praising that kind of it's like an hour long and it kind of gives you the entire rundown of Kingdom Hearts. And so maybe if
I think I need that.
that might be what
I'll
you're
seek
looking
that
for.
out. I'll seek that out. This is so weird because
No one needs that.
I actually get interested in the Disney stuff because we're invested,
Yeah.
at home. It's like
Yeah.
I want to see that Baymax stuff. I want to see the stuff but like none of that Disney
Toy
stuff
Story,
matters.
like
It doesn't.
Like in the
It's
grand
weird,
scheme
yeah.
of things, like
well, except
it's
like
so weird.
Mickey.
Except Mickey because
Yeah.
he's a Keyblade master. But then it's like, well, why have any of the Final Fantasy stuff in it if that also doesn't really matter?
Yeah.
Shit is fucking weird.
And it's like where this like Kingdom Hearts was like, hey, like we're mashing up two worlds, Disney and Square Enix, and then as the story progresses, like, hey, none of that really matters. We just wanted to tell you our story.
Yeah.
Well, people got into those characters, right? I mean, it's not like they're forcing
But
the,
I feel
the
like
Kingdom Hearts characters down people's throats.
I
Like
feel like
people
the
chose
draw-
this life, right?
You're right. I feel like the draw though for like everyone else is like, oh, cool, like Dumbo is in this game,
Right.
Bambi is in this game,
Yeah.
or for other people, it's like, oh, Cloud is in this game, but just it's weird.
But they always like that was the whole thing. Don't they kind of cruise in and out of your party?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
when you're in
they
that,
do.
like, oh, you're in the Dumbo world, and now here's Dumbo, and like now you're in the Cloud world, and here's Cloud.
Yep.
But like I always thought it was like you kind of like, oh, well, now I'm in the Tron world. Here's Tron, and then we move on. But it's always this set party. So like it's
Well, no,
here's
you
Goofy,
get like one
here's
person into your
one person per
crew.
world. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get a Tron.
You get a Tron.
You get a
You do,
Tron.
yeah.
Is it actual Tron?
I don't know. I haven't finished Kingdom Hearts.
Hmm.
I didn't watch that cutscene.
All right. Well,
Sorry.
Tron's good.
Tron
Yeah.
is good.
True that.
They should make more.
I even liked Tron Legacy.
I loved it.
It looked cool.
I like Jeff Bridges.
Soundtrack was great.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was the other thing. When I was down in LA for that event, we drove past a laundromat that said it had biodigital machines in it. And I just thought of Tron's
Tron.
biodigital
Biodigital
jazz.
jazz.
And I was like,
Mhm.
that's very exciting. I want to clean my clothes at this laundromat.
Yeah.
Clean my
Cool.
clothes on the grid.
Oh.
It's about the clothes you don't clean.
That's true. Ben, what have you been doing?
I've been
Okay.
playing a couple games.
Yeah.
Okay.
First up, I played a bunch of Piku Niku, which it's the new game. I forgot the name of the studio. It's a relatively new studio, but Devolver is publishing it. It's really something cool. It's a little action platformer, or I guess puzzle platformer is
Mhm.
probably closer.
Very minimalistic, simplistic design.
Yeah, it kind of reminds, like visually, maybe a little Keita Takahashi, a little Patapon,
Yeah.
that very kind of
Maybe
flat,
like a little
cartoony-
Loco Roco in there.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you know, it's a very, very basic game. You just kind of move around and jump, and you're solving little issues. Kind of the setup is, you're a guy in a cave, and you come out, and you wander into this town, and they've been told to fear you because you are the beast.
Beast.
And you're going to destroy the whole town. And of course, the person telling them this is this kind of capitalistic guy named Mr. Sunshine who rolls up one day to this town and says, "Hey, I got a good idea for you. I'm going to give you free money if you just give me your crops."
I like this idea.
Free money.
And
crops.
it's kind of a game all about like capitalism and the dangers of that.
Mr. Sunshine,
What?
yeah.
Mr. Sunshine's maybe not the most.
What's so dangerous? He's giving you free money. What are you talking about?
He just has a bunch of like giant robots. They're
Eating
not
all my
intruding on
sunflowers.
anything.
And he does have a miniature
whatever.
version of him living inside of his hat.
Inside of his hat. How can you not trust that guy?
Okay, now I don't trust this guy.
The game just has a tremendous sense of humor about it. If you're curious what it looks like, just watch our quick look. We play the intro cutscene at the end, and Jan and I were kind of blown away the first time we saw it. It's very enjoyable. It's a short game. They themselves say it's going to take 4 or 5 hours. But maybe the coolest thing is you can totally pick it up for free right now if you have Twitch Prime. It's today and tomorrow, the 23rd. And I at the price point that it's being sold for, I recommend it for free. I think you should definitely check it out. It's
like free money.
It's also coming to other.
like free money.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's coming to the Switch as well.
Yeah.
It was like $13
I wanna
on the
say, yeah.
eShop.
13
or
12.99,
14. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's got a co-op, but the co-op mode is different. It's like these kind of 2-person levels that you need to solve in tandem. Jan and I tried out one of those, and
it's pretty neat. Yeah.
That looked pretty fun.
Yeah.
Cool. And then less pretty fun. I've been playing No More Heroes. Travis Strikes Back.
I'm sorry about it.
So this is the newest No More Heroes game.
Pretty different from the other ones.
Yeah. I really like Suda's games. I've liked them for a long time. Even the less great ones, I think, are fine, just because he is so good at creating a style that I have always been able to latch onto. Not for every game, but for the most part, his games just classically are kind of style over substance. The gameplay is never really the thing that you talk when you talk about a Killer 7 or Normal Heroes 1. Yeah. It's kind of like, the characters, the setting, the dialogue, the style, just like the menu options. He really everything, the wrapping around the games to me are kind of the most interesting parts of those games. And so this is different. It's No More Heroes kind of in name and character alone. It starts out with Travis Touchdown being attacked by the father of one of the people he assassinated in No More Heroes 1.
Okay.
And they get sucked into a game console, a haunted game console that was only released for a month in like the Philippines or something.
It's the Death Drive. It's like the same
Death Drive.
It's like a variant of the console used in Let It Die.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Which they reference.
Okay. Is Uncle Death in there somewhere?
So the thing is, this game starts to kind of do a glass thing where it takes a little bit of the different Suda universes and kind of ties them together in a really cool way.
Well, that was something where they, up front, they were like, hey, this is going to have references to other indie games by other companies. Even,
totally.
Right? So
yeah, there's
kinda...
So to take a step back, like the game itself is a kind of, it plays like a middle ground between Diablo and Gauntlet. It's kind of a top-down. You've got a light attack, a heavy attack, and a bunch of different a dodge, a jump, and a bunch of different skills assigned to like you hold L and press the different face buttons. It's a Switch exclusive. I'm playing on Switch right now.
Yeah.
And so you're fighting like lots of hordes of enemies, and then sometimes you have to fight bigger enemies that you have to play a little more carefully around and use those skills. I think the coolest aspect gameplay-wise of the game is the different combinations of skills that you can do, where like one of the first skills you get, whatever enemy you're targeting, you can press and hold the button and you'll like grab them and kind of you can like move them around the field.
Oh, neat.
And then you'll have another skill where you can like plant a sticky bomb on an enemy, so you can drop a bomb on him, grab him, throw him into the crowd, and it has some cool combinations there. The problem is it just gets really repetitive. It's kind of they introduce new enemies and stuff, but you're still just kind of mashing light attack and then sometimes hitting heavy attack.
Yeah.
The bosses are more interesting. I think that's another thing he's always done well. Like if you go back to No More Heroes, that game was basically a series of really cool boss battles with some mashing in between.
Yeah. Like very stylish, but like you were there for the boss fights.
Yeah.
The rest of it was kind of like,
And it does a cool thing in this game where like, so you travel from different game to different game. and each of the games you kind of show up and the main character of the game gets pissed that you are trying to one-up them and becomes kind of your antagonist in the game. And so it has a lot of... This game has the most referential to a video game humor I've seen in a long time because it's about video games. And, you know, No More Heroes has always had this irreverence to it. Like, I remember back in the day just being blown away. There's a big, you know, they do the bait and switch of here's this big boss coming down, and you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be a huge fight, and then somebody else comes and blows them up, and that was quaint in 2007 or whatever year No More Heroes came out. But at this point, I feel like the kind of meta about video games being bad and weird has advanced past that point.
Like, you still have to make a good game.
Yeah.
You can't get away with just like, we got some jokes about how this game is bad. Like,
I hate to bring up his name here, but
that's there you go.
The Matt Hazard principle of, like, there's multiple jokes of Travis saying, like, you're giving me too much text, I just want to fight. Preceded by another few minutes of too much text. It's like, yes, you know what the problem is and you're addressing it, but it's still a problem.
Right.
I think it never just really hits those highs that the other games hit. I have heard that about kind of halfway through it really opens up and gets a lot weirder and they start going for more, but it never really hits that payoff eventually. So I'm excited to see there. I've just beaten the second of 6 different games that are available on the console. And then there's a lot of stuff like there's kind of a hub world and you go between games, you can go watch these like long sort of codex-like sequences where you're searching for the next game or whatever, but it's just kind of presented with, Travis talking to other characters. There's no voice acting, or very, very limited, which is a bummer because that No More Heroes.
It sounds like there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of story in there too. So
yeah, and I'm gonna stick with it just because hearing that it gets weird in a pseudo way, like really weird in a pseudo way, is appealing to me because that's what I come to his games for. It's just, honestly, it's at this point a little mashy, a little samey. I was expecting the different games to be different beyond. They just look different, and then they have different kinds of puzzles. So the one I'm just beat was kind of a suburban layout, and you're like moving around the houses in a puzzle sort of way, so you can go from one end of the street to another.
Yeah,
and that's different. But then all the enemies are the same from the different worlds, and it's just
yeah.
But
all right.
Yeah, that's Travis Strikes Back. It's a bummer too because he was out there saying like, if you really want to know More Heroes 3, you gotta see this game.
Yeah.
Basically saying like, buy this game if you want No More Heroes 3.
I hate that.
If you want a Darkstalkers,
Yeah. I hate when that's the case. Like I understand that may be the case. Like
you kind of have to show that hey, there's interest here. Look, they'll even buy the bad ones. So what if we made a good one?
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Or they learn. Maybe we don't have to make a good one. Maybe we just make more bad ones.
That's my worry.
Right. It's a bummer. Jan, how about you?
I'm still riding that rhythm train. But this time I checked out Vose. I think it released last year.
Yeah.
Same developers as Citus 2, the game I had mentioned couple last 2 Bombcasts actually. And I haven't dug into it too much. Just got it last night. But it's a rhythm game where it's like classic lane note highway, I guess, of the notes coming right at you. But here I'm playing it undocked handheld on the Switch, so you have to actually physically tap the notes. I think there's an option you could actually just use the buttons, but when you could tap, why not?
Right.
And instead of the highways being stationary, they're kind of moving around as the song progresses. And I'm digging it a lot. The music that I've encountered so far, maybe still not my taste, but based off how my time with Citus has gone, then I feel like that could eventually turn around.
I think that maybe was my problem with Vose also. It was just like, just the music didn't do it for me. And I don't know, the mechanic didn't really move me either. I don't know.
I'm not digging it so far, but I'm hoping maybe there'll be a couple tracks that I wind up liking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them, it turns out. Yeah.
Cool.
But just been tapping away with some music.
Nice.
Yeah. Tapping away.
All right. Well, when we take a break, we'll come back with some news, and we'll come back with your emails and all that other stuff after this. Nothing like banging your knee on the table. I hit my knee on that spot once a week. Sitting over there.
Yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah. You get used to it. We're back.
You lose feeling in your leg, and it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah. Once you just kind of cross that bridge and completely lose feeling, then it's fine. We're back with the news.
And we're back.
This just in.
Breaking news at this hour. Electronic Arts doesn't understand how to make Star Wars games, apparently.
Huh.
You just put in lightsabers and all your favorite characters, and there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Loot boxes and lightsabers. That's the name of my new Star Wars game.
Yep.
We're pretty excited about it. This comes to us from Kotaku, who's reporting that EA has canceled its open world Star Wars game. If you remember correctly, there was a game that Visceral was working on, codenamed Ragtag. There was an Amy Hennig joint that then got kind of canned, or I guess like the studio got shut down, and development of that game or a game using some of those assets was moved to EA Vancouver. And they rebooted it and making it into an open world game. And apparently now that has been canceled, according to Kotaku's sources. Yeah, and let's see this. I'm kind of going through some of this stuff
there
now.
A quote about and correct me if I'm wrong here, some sort of,
we
didn't see how we could make this a service for people to enjoy for years or something.
Well,
it was
they kind of had to backpedal and do all sorts of other stuff around that. But yes, at the time of that game, news of that game and Visceral kind of going away, there was talk about games as a service and this sort of stuff. This is what we want to do. This is what players want. This is, so it paved the way for, this seems to be the thing that maybe they would be working on.
Yeah.
And you line that up with everything that went on with Battlefront 2. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean it's maybe one of the hottest properties in the world, Star Wars. Just mass market appeal.
Yeah,
a Star Wars video game.
There have been a lot of them.
There have been a lot of them, and even the mediocre ones, I feel like, do relatively well just by being attached to Star Wars. It really is fascinating to me that they just can't seem to do it.
Yeah,
because they've had to deal with I guess Disney now.
And maybe that's the thing that changed.
While.
Maybe Disney is really hard to work with.
Yeah,
you think about how long it took.
You
think about how at the end of every Kingdom Hearts development, you hear stories about people saying, "We're never doing another one. We are never working with them."
And you heard it come out that originally, the developers of Battlefield 2, and this was their story, wanted cosmetic costumes and stuff like that, and Disney kind of said, we want them to look like this, so you got to figure out something else to do.
Which kind of led to the loot boxes.
You heard stories about Marvel having issues in the Marvel Versus series.
So maybe Disney just sucks. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd believe it. But also,
they didn't get to where they were today by being lax with their business partners.
I guess you're right. I guess there's something to be said for being protective of your shit. Here's the quote you were talking about. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design. It's kind of part of that larger quote.
Which is funny because I think last year between Red Dead and God of War showed you can make a good single player game these days that people are going to buy and get loud about.
You're right, but I think at the same time they probably got to spend that much time and that much money on Red Dead because of GTA Online and the potential for Red Dead Online. They kind of just found a different way of going about it. There's some changes over at the studio over there. You remember Jade Raymond got out of Motive, which is EA's storytelling studio or whatever that was on this stuff back in October. And let's see. Apparently this project was codenamed Orca, according to the Kotaku piece. And it would involve playing as a scoundrel or bounty hunter who would explore various open world planets and work with different factions across the universe. And when EA's top decision makers looked at their roadmap for the next few years, they decided they needed something sooner than the planned release for Orca. And so they canceled it in favor of a smaller scale project that's now aimed for much sooner, likely late 2020, which, maybe that'll be around the time the new consoles launch. Sounds like no one was laid off as a part of that transition, and that they're all just going to go on to other products. They got a quote out of EA, or they got a response out of EA that is pretty non-committal, I guess. There's been speculation overnight about one of our Star Wars projects as a natural part of the creative process. The great work by our team in Vancouver continues and will evolve into future Star Wars content and games. We're fully committed to making more Star Wars games. We're very excited about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn, and we'll share more about our new projects when the time is right. That's Respawn is working on a Star Wars game. They have been for a while. That was the game that got that name at the EA press conference.
Oh, right, before the Battlefront thing.
Yeah, it's just Vince Nampel just sitting there in a hat and just going like, yeah, we're doing a game. It's not here. Making it. At least for now, until they tell us we're not, I guess. They bought us. So, I don't know. EA seems like a very strange company these days. I feel like EA and Activision both are looking increasingly lost in different ways. And, there's been a lot of... There's been people leaving both companies in different forms and stuff like that. It was like Patrick Soderlund left EA a while ago, right? When was that? Because he was the one who gave some of those quotes.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, that was August was when it was announced that he was going to transition out. Yeah, it's funny. I remember when EA was first getting that Star Wars license and talking to people I knew over there, and they just had it sounded like every studio in the company had these big whiteboard pitches for the huge Star Wars game they wanted to make.
Sure.
And it's like the games couldn't be big enough. They needed to be big, huge projects because that's what's going to bring in the most money and all this other stuff. Or mobile projects that are this ongoing thing. And so it was this race of trying to pitch these Star Wars games and a big exciting time for everyone because suddenly this studio's we get to pitch a Star Wars game. That's cool. That's weird.
And so what have the EA Star Wars games been? Battlefront 1, 2?
The mobile game. Whatever it's called. Yeah. One that Rory played for a while. Galaxy at War? No, I don't know. I can't remember. It was Galaxy of Heroes. That sounds right. I don't know.
Is that it?
That might be it. There's also the MMO, which happened before the deal got done, but it's
the
Old Republic. It is just called. Yes. And so around the edges of this stuff, there were some other rumors going around that BioWare at multiple points tried to get KOTOR 3 off the ground, and has not, as of yet, had that happen.
I feel like that would be the one to get fans excited. I'm sure there would be a tinge of not wanting to trust anyone involved in that in 2019. But if you look to the series that have the most respect from fans when it comes to Star Wars games, it's KOTOR, it's Jedi Academy,
sure,
it's TIE Fighter,
TIE Fighter, but
really those two are kind of as far as quote modern Star Wars games go, the kind of gold standard.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So it's surprising to me that they could never really get a third. If they really wanted to, it's surprising to me that they, whether
they pitched it. There's concept art and stuff back from then, when it was originally kind of happening.
But I guess with Disney going in and canonographing everything, it makes it a little harder of a pitch.
Yeah, I wonder. And also, if you think about it, these Star Wars film franchises have gone through a lot over the last handful of years. With this idea of hey, we're going to do all these one-off small stories, and then it seems like the reaction to Solo was
going to have episode 9 soon.
Is that this
really?
year?
Yeah,
this year.
Wow.
All right.
That's just that alone too. There's been
I have still not seen 7 or 8.
Almost 6 Star Wars movies in the last 6 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So yeah, I don't know. Star Wars is a weird thing. It always was, but I feel like it is transitioned into something even weirder and everyone being very protective of it as you know, like I said, stuff like Solo kind of maybe disappoints and
It's
gets,
so
gets them to
complicated.
rethink some of their stuff. Like, you know, then suddenly that vibe probably
Mm-hmm.
trickles down to the licensees.
And then you have like the
too.
internet outrage around episode
Sure,
8
yeah.
or whatever, which, like, you know, before it was Star Wars fans could easily be like, first three movies good, prequels bad,
Yeah.
and then like that was it. Like you were a Star Wars fan and you knew two things, like old movies
Right.
good, new movies bad.
Right.
Now it's just all over
Now,
the place.
new movies, fine.
No, the worst thing that's ever happened, or no, it's revolutionary, and it's just all like
New movies
everyone's got to have a
corrupted
take
by
now.
Russian bots that want to make people think it's bad than the internet because the current world's a hellscape. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. There's been, you know, you see all this stuff kind of twisting around. You know, you see people starting to call for like, hey, they should really take the Star Wars license away from EA.
But who do you
Give it to? Ubisoft. No, I don't know. I think the answer is you don't give a blanket license to any one company.
Yeah.
If I were Disney coming out of this, I would be like,
If you
no,
want to make a Star Wars game,
we will
you
take
come
pitches
here
for
and you
individual
pitch.
games,
Yeah.
and that's you. Okay, you want to do a open world this, and you want like exclusive on that platform or this tier of consoles. Like,
We'll give
let's
you
sign
Han Solo.
that deal,
You can
and you
have-
get and you'll do that. And then you want to do mobile games? Great, you're mobile companies. You specialize in that shit. Go off and do it.
Yeah.
And maybe they just need to get back to just kind of taking those pitches and doing those types of deals, because it just seems like this kind of blanket EA deal. I mean, this feels like a weight on EA as well,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
now they are compelled to just like gin up more Star Wars games, even if maybe the market might not want that after. I mean, to be fair, things that EA did to the license with Battlefront 2, it only gets harder from there, right? You know, they have to have a big hit, and you know, like hey, Respawn has made some games that feel real good, so maybe this Jedi Fallen Order thing ends up being the thing that turns it around for everybody.
What was Respawn's last game?
Titanfall 2.
That's right.
That's great.
Titanfall 2 is a great game. They should make a third Titanfall.
You know what? You know who I want to make a Star Wars game?
Who?
Insomniac. Think of like the Force powers. I feel like they could do some cool stuff with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they did like Force Unleashed 3 or whatever, or like a game in that style
that'd
of
be
like
fun.
Insomniac with its kind of, you know, with weird powers and
Just like
kind
a
of
straight up video
physics-y-
gamey kind of like
Yeah.
path. Yeah.
Spider-Man has like a force push in
Yeah.
Marvel
Right.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. That would probably be
Let's
all
give
right.
it to
I
IO.
would play that.
I want a Hitman Star Wars game.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Agent
just-
47
you're a
walking
bounty
around the
hunter.
Death Star,
Mhm.
fucking knocking out a stormtrooper, putting on the outfit.
They already did it
That's
in the
the game.
movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can have like a
That's
Mos
fucking
Eisley.
canon.
You can have a Cantina level. That'd
Hell
be-
yeah.
He pretends to play the music,
God,
blends
Do
in.
do 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 do
Fucking
do 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 do.
That jizz player over there is really something. I'm here to play the jizz. Yes, right over here.
Here's your weird clarinet.
Thank you. I cannot do a 47 impression.
It's 'cause he's everyone.
It's because he's everyone. He's the ultimate everyman. Every impression is a 47 impression. Yeah, I don't know. I this just seems like it doesn't seem like the gold mine that it used to. The idea of like, hey, Star Wars video games.
Yeah,
Like,
there,
I
there
feel
are
like-
landmines everywhere.
Yeah.
and they've stepped on a couple so far.
Exactly. And I feel like the license at this point, like, is just not, it's probably not worth what EA had to
Yeah.
sign up for to get it in the first place. And you start to wonder, like, if someone there is, and
They're
I
pumping
think
the
that
brakes.
rumor's been going around too, that maybe the top, the current top of EA, who is different than the people that made that deal originally, the rumor's going around that maybe current EA brass is a little cool on the whole concept.
Yeah.
But whatever, they're in it, so they got to try to make the best of it. I don't know. I just don't know what you do at that point. Like if you're walking away from like what sounds like the most standard ass, like, hey, we're gonna make an open world game. Like, yeah, of course you are.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you gonna make another open? I don't know. Maybe just conceptually it wasn't working, and maybe they were saddled with old assets that didn't fit the project. Who knows?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
give
I
us
love
a HD remake of the Django Fett bounty hunter game for GameCube.
Okay,
That's what
yeah.
I want more than
it.
anything.
Yeah.
Pod racer.
Yeah.
You just want the pod
yeah.
racer.
You plug in
game
two
again.
controllers and you can race.
Two N64 controllers. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, they're making an N64 controller adapter for the Switch.
Great.
Of course
Finally.
they are.
Finally. Artifact. Let's talk about it.
Ah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, Artifact.
No one is playing it.
It's like losing.
Or-
It's. I think I saw this morning. It was at 2,400 concurrent.
That's not.
Yesterday
a
was
lot.
2,600. The day before was 2,800. It's like
Huh.
it's losing multiple hundreds of. It's already in the
Yeah.
2,000s of players a day.
Yeah. At launch, it sounds like it had around 60,000 players, and that's just been
It's been dipping,
falling off a
dipping,
cliff
dipping.
ever
They added.
since.
They made a pretty huge update in December. They added like a ladder system and some seasonal rewards and stuff like that. And you saw kind of an uptick back. I feel like that got a few players back, but still, even with that, it's just tanking.
What's the story here? That it's just not released with enough content, or
Is it the money? The way
never knew who this game was for because it's a card game based in the Dota universe. So right there, you're going to be. It's not necessarily. I don't necessarily think nobody who doesn't play Dota can. There's not anyone out there who doesn't play Dota who would be really into this, other than the people who are who really like well-designed card games or Richard Garfield.
Yeah.
But I never really know who this was for. It was $20 at launch, plus you have to buy all the cards.
Plus, Magic had its online
the
game
Magic
come
Arena,
out recently. People seem to really like that.
Really like that. Now, recently, you see a lot of the Dota community opting into the Dota 2 Auto Chess, which is like one of the workshop games inside of Dota 2 that really took off on Twitch and stuff. There's just a lot of it came out at a weird time. It's Valve's first release in a really long time, so it's it may have gone under a lot of people's radars just because it was this small weird thing. I don't know.
According to this Kotaku article, they're looking at the full price of buying a full set of cards on the marketplace. At launch, it was $294. By mid-December, it was $200, and as of last Wednesday, it had dipped below $100.
Huh.
Yeah.
So
So what you're saying is I fucked up by haven't selling my cards yet.
yes, exactly. Yes. Sell. I had a dream last night that we worked for Gabe Newell.
Oh, was he cool? Did we get to see his knives?
He seemed
Yeah.
all right. I did not see the knives.
he probably took your knives.
He just showed up. It was like we were at we all worked in an office, but it was a different office, and we were doing what we do.
And he just wheeled in
and
with
then
his desk.
Gabe Newell walked up. No, he just we walked in and I was like, "Hey, that's a good video." And I was like,
That's a good
Thank
video.
you, Gabe.
"What are you doing here?"
You want to be on
Sure.
UPF?
and he was like, "Oh, I basically he was like, oh, I own this, all this."
All this.
I was like, "Oh, we work for Gabe Newell." I was like, "Yeah, you do." Weird. Anyway, we have an email about Artifact that we'll get to in the email section.
Okay, cool.
Let's see here.
I'm interested in hearing more.
News a lot more subdued compared to last week.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I have not seen any further developments in that.
I haven't checked.
No, it seems like everyone
the-
buttoned down real hard after that.
on the Gearbox story. So yes, with a little less news. How about this? There's a new leader in the Twitch subscriber game.
Yo,
Summit 1G has gone ahead of Ninja.
wow.
I
Never heard of him.
yeah.
He is a retired Counter-Strike player that has been kind of back around doing stuff. Mostly retired, according to this article.
Mostly retired. What's he been playing?
It sounds like he has been playing Sea of Thieves.
Whoa.
And getting out there and doing all the social engineering pirate shit that game, if you fully engage with
Right.
it, that's the stuff. To the point where people at Rare kind of had some pointed responses that seemed like maybe they were aimed at him because he's
This is exactly what this game needs.
Yeah.
but then the response from Rare is saying hey, you should honor our terms of service, which we have helpfully called the pirate code, about how to be nice. He's out there not being nice. He's out there being a pirate.
Gotcha.
And being a dick, and people are watching it.
Yeah.
And but it sounds like that's the game they built.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Saying this is an open world, play how you want to play, but also play by this text document of rules is
Right.
a little.
Also,
Pirates code.
Like if he's
Come
exploiting some sort of cheat or something like
Yeah.
that, I understand. But if he's
different.
just being a rude pirate in the pirate game,
Yeah. You know, if you're being rude to children who are playing the pirate game, maybe that sucks.
yeah,
But you know, maybe you're not making it an inviting environment for other players. But like that's kind of the game they made, and rather than saying, "Hey, be nice" in some document somewhere, they should build systems into the game that kind of make it.
The name of the game is Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Thieves are bad. No honor
Yeah.
among thieves.
No, exactly. Zero honor.
They should do something about it in game.
oh yeah, they should send out their own hit
Yeah.
squad of pirates.
That would be great. That would
take
be,
them out.
I would watch that
That's-
guy's stream.
yes,
if he was being
exactly.
hunted by fucking Rare.
Yeah.
Just banjos there.
Yeah.
Hey, motherfucker!
Uh,
Wave the
That's not
skull and bones. It's like flapping over from the
Yeah.
crow's nest.
Halo, the Master Chief Collection.
Oh yeah.
It's still getting updates.
Have,
I think it doesn't crash ananymore. I don't
What's-
know.
Whoa.
That's the joke. Yeah.
Yeah, they have added a new modern aiming setting
What?
to it that basically it's like smoother aiming.
That's how you kids aim, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Like a little less like the original Halo and a little more like kind of current shooters and aim acceleration and all that sort of stuff. You can turn it off if you don't like it.
Here's my conspiracy theory. This is what they want to put in Halo. What's it called? Halo Ultimate?
Infinite.
Halo Infinite, and
Yeah.
they're testing the waters with this, and they want to put it in there, see if people freak out super hard and say, "Oh God, you changed my Halo too much. It doesn't shoot the same way."
Maybe, I don't know. This feels like a test bed for the tech, and like this still hasn't come out on PC, right?
The Master Chief Collection.
I don't think it has. I always thought that that's where they were going with it, and that's why they were because it's on Game Pass, so it's something that anyone can kind of play as a part of that service, which kind of maybe gives them more ground to justify working on
If
it.
you can download it.
Also, it's
90
Halo. It's
gigabytes.
one of it.
Jesus.
It is Microsoft's premier franchise. If they just put out this collection and left it for dead, what would that say about that? How much they do or don't care about Halo?
I'd prefer Left 4 Dead.
I mean, I think it said a lot about Halo when they released that collection and the subsequent
Right.
like 6 months after.
6 months? No, that like literally this patch just hit.
Well, I mean, like the 6 months of them trying to make it at least
Right.
playable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a game that's had issues for a good long time, and it's bizarre. They were running like closed testing for updated builds of the game like recently. It's just it's weird. But you know, I don't know that Halo 5 necessarily had legs, so maybe this is kind of the Halo of choice for Halo fans now. So it probably makes sense for them to keep working on this, and maybe focusing a little less on updates for Halo 5.
I think you're right.
Did that Master Chief Collection have all the single player stuff in it?
Yep.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's
My only Halo was ODST.
oh
which I
man, yeah,
enjoyed,
that's
but,
a
like-
cool game. But it's like it's weird. It's weird that you would only play that one because part of the reason ODST is a cool game is because of how unlike other Halos it is.
Yeah.
So
that's what I always
like
heard.
like if you play only that, I wonder what you would think of other Halos with that as your only point of entry. That's it for news. Oh wait, some Street Fighter Pro Tour stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they're expanding it to.
You seem excited about it.
It's a mixed. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so it's the 3v3 North American League. What's interesting is that there's going to be 6 like invitees, like the top 6 ranked players in the pro league are going to be team captains. Then it's under that it's going to be 6 like online qualifiers. And then after that, there's going to be people that are voted in from the community. So you're going to get like, specific character specialists and, people that are really good, in online world, can't make it out to events. It's going to be a really nice like mix of players.
So is it going to be
that's the
one
hope.
from each tier on the team? Or?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they'll have someone from the pro league, online qualifier, and then a community vote.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's going to be a good roundabout.
I feel like
teams.
having community voting in there is really cool because it's gonna. They're
We've
all
seen
gonna
some
be
great from like our Kappa and stuff that have sponsored players, to go to events, like Evo and shit like that.
Yeah.
People that you'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
And they're all character
It gets
specialists.
people invested in a way that, and it puts them on an even playing field. So you're not going to have like, some guy who's like pretty good online versus somebody who actually has the tournament experience
Exactly.
every time,
Yeah.
And then me, I intend to win one of the fan votes.
What's a little worrisome about this, and it didn't mention that in the press release, but I dug a little bit, and on their Capcom Unity post, they mentioned that there's a character ban function.
Huh.
Like they can say before the match, like say that they've got a fucking sick Ziku, that's what he's known for. They can actually say, the opposing team can say, okay, we're going to ban Ziku. You guys can't pick him, which sucks actually, because I want to see that sick Ziku play. And, if that player really only knows that one character, that like they're so hamstrung. And
yes, but they will run into an instance where, like, let's say, there's a really good, like their best player plays a different character. You're not banning the best player character. Like, I feel like utilizing your ban will be an interesting kind of meta-textual strategy that'll unfold, because, like, yeah, sure, you could ban the Ziku player's Ziku, but at the end of the day, don't you want to ban the best player's best character?
Maybe not necessarily.
Yeah.
But like maybe you're most afraid of the unknown quantity. That could very well be the case.
It's interesting.
Either way, I
really like the team formats for fighting game events.
I do too. I don't like this ban thing.
I don't know. It seems to work okay for MOBAs. Like the character ban stuff. And also I like the idea of players being like versatile.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that would be like, and it's why I like shitty weird side tournaments where it's like, hey, you're gonna play random characters every time.
Yep.
Or stuff like that. Like, I think that's fun.
It seems like when a person is versatile, they're picking like top tier characters.
Sure.
Okay. If you've got one sick Ziku player that's like really all that he knows, you take that away, and then he goes to Armika.
You're really fucking that player over.
Yes.
Or that whole team, really.
Yeah.
I guess that means like these players
either
that
way,
need to get in.
I'm not going to see the best play. Like I'm not going to see the interesting thing. What this person's bringing to the team, I'm not going to be able to see it.
But there are other tournaments where you will see that, right?
And
not necessarily, because some of these players are, online tournament only.
Sure,
they're not going to make it out to events.
Right.
Same thing with the community thing. We don't know if they're an unknown quantity. Like, I want to see what they're known for.
I hope it works out that, like if there's certain characters that people are tired of seeing, that those are going to be the characters that get banned, like top tier characters that just dominate the meta.
If that's the way that it works out, then fine.
Yeah,
but
that would be a nice end to the
right
or application of that.
Like I don't need to see any more reviews. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like I don't need. Well, fuck
what
Abigail.
about Daigo's review?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
I'll always watch Daigo's review.
That's true.
That's
true. But I never want to see another Abigail match. I can't stand him.
But he's 2 Kens tall.
Oh Jesus.
Oh well, I mean, okay, when you put it that way.
Anyway, so that's starting up, I think in April, and they're going to be running like weekly tournaments on Thursdays through June.
Okay. Have they said anything else about further updates for the game?
Not necessarily. No, nothing about season passes or anything like that.
Okay. I guess that was the thing.
Troubling.
Like, kind of like, are they done with it, or they have like one more character, or what are they?
If they are done with it,
I've heard anything.
Do you see them? Do you see a Street Fighter 6 that exists?
Yes, like within the next year or two, probably not. I think you probably let it sit for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I think they're standing on the space for a while.
Yeah. I wonder. Or if you're Capcom, do you do something else first? Is there another fighting game that you would try to bring back to try to cleanse the palate a little bit before rolling right into Street Fighter 6?
Yeah. Is this our chance for CVS 3?
No. Yeah, I mean, like, that'd be cool, but I
feel like that and Darkstalkers are always the two that people kind of clamor for.
Star Gladiator 3,
right?
Rival, like a new rival schools or something.
That would be cool.
Like something a little out of the ordinary might be
or
fun.
Something like a cross tag, or like the old that era of here's a bunch of Capcom.
So if you think about if let's say they never work with exactly. What if they never work with the Marvel license again?
Which I don't think.
Yeah. Do they take that fighting style and try to find, do they do Tatsunoko 2 or something?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
But that'd be neat. I don't know.
It would be cool.
Or
do they go try to find another license to replace Marvel?
Oh my God, Capcom vs. Shonen.
Yeah.
Capcom versus Netflix.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yeah.
All right.
Throw some Sandra Bullock in there.
Yeah.
The
That's
whole
all I
cast
got.
of Friends.
Ryu versus Mary Berry.
All right. I would
I'm
watch
going to
that.
give you a soggy bottom.
Good bake. Good bake.
I've already got one.
Yeah.
I've already got one.
coffee.
Yeah. All right. That's it for news.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some emails. How about it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Where can I email you at, Jeff?
Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address.
Bombcast@giantbomb.com.
That's right. Send it on in, and we'll go through it, and we'll take the good
Maybe read
ones,
it.
or some of the really bad ones, I guess. Steve from Michigan writes in and says, after listening to the most recent All Systems Goku and having your Game of the Year deliberations in mind, I can't help but think what God of War would be like if Goku and Gohan were the main characters instead of Kratos and Atreus. If this replacement were to happen, what would be the essential forbidden item Goku goes back home to get when journeying to hell?
Sorry.
And would any of the Norse gods be able to give Goku a fair match, or would he simply obliterate everyone?
Wouldn't Goku just like take off?
He'd
And
die
then
like halfway through
Yeah.
and Gohan would just be like, fuck, man, where's Piccolo?
Yeah.
You just play as Gohan?
Yeah, I guess maybe you would play as Piccolo and Gohan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the actual game.
I don't know if any of the gods. I mean, Goku's fought gods at this point,
Yeah.
and
He
defeated them.
befriended a god.
Yeah,
You saw that movie, right?
yeah. I saw Dragon Ball Super Broly. It was really good. I was like,
It
I
sounds
had
like it
heard-
did really well at the box office.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
number 3,
number
which is
3
insane.
in America. It's
Wow.
like,
Apparently that hasn't happened for an anime movie in 19 to 20 years.
yeah, it was honestly, I was surprised by how good it was. But like the writing was good. They, Brawly as a character was always just he's really big and really mad, and they kind of tried to give him a little more of a backstory and motivation and stuff like that. And I went with a couple of people who don't know anything about Dragon Ball, and they had a great time. They were like, there was a lot more yelling than I thought there was going to be, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think I don't know that. Well, I don't know that I want to see that until I've watched.
Yeah,
this
they
other stuff that
definitely
leads up to it or whatever. Because it would be weird to go see it.
I've watched a little bit of Super going in, and you really don't need to know. I'd say go see it after you've seen all of Z. Like if you want to see it,
That would be the time.
that would be the time.
Okay.
I feel like you would have picked up through osmosis what has kind of happened in Super, that I assume that jumping into the movie would be fine.
Yeah, really the only reference to the stuff from Super is like Beerus is there
Sure.
hanging out, so you kind of might not know who that is, and they
He's the
reference
cat guy from the game, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
and they reference the Tournament of Power.
And they have blue hair.
And oh yeah, well,
I'm
Super
out.
Saiyan God, Super Saiyan.
I'm out.
Goku would probably go get the power pole. Just want an answer.
Ooh, or the fusion earrings.
Ooh. He'd fuse with his son?
Oh man,
Could I
dude,
guess
that's how
he-
Dragon Ball Super is going to end. Him and Gohan fuse.
That's kind of gross.
I thought
What?
I thought Dragon Ball Super already ended.
No.
Oh, I thought they were
No, it's still
done.
going.
Okay.
The arc. They're a big arc just finished.
Okay, and then they still haven't translated all of it into it hasn't all aired in English,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Really? I thought it was simulcast.
I don't.
I don't believe so.
believe so.
Wow.
Okay. Ronald writes in and says the Valis games were just bootleg Castlevania for people who didn't have a Nintendo. That's the whole email.
Truth.
I think that's bullshit.
What is Valis?
It's a bootleg Castlevania for people who didn't have a Nintendo.
Oh.
Oh, cool.
I think Valis actually became they became hentai games in later years.
Okay.
But they were side scrollers. They were on the Genesis primarily. There was a Turbo Graphics game I think as well. It's a lady. You run to the right and you attack stuff. They were good. Ed from Forked River, New Jersey writes in and says, now that we're coming up on the 10-year mark for Modern Warfare 2, what are your thoughts and memories surrounding the no Russian level? Yeah, I guess it's been a decade since
wow.
since no
wild.
Russian.
Can you imagine if that came out now? I guess the climate.
Hey, right now it's more like too much Russian. Am I right? I don't know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you probably. I had played it way after the fact. Kind of,
Yeah.
I knew going in what it was going to be, and it's still hard to do. Like I didn't want to pull the trigger. I didn't want to shoot those. Like, it was really honestly an effective story moment for a video game that
Yeah,
like,
so
it was weirdly involved.
So
like,
I got to play that game before it was out.
Yeah.
So no, you know what? Modern Warfare 2 I did not. Maybe I did. Maybe I played it before that discussion had started up. Either way, so I went into it not knowing anything about that aspect of the game. And yeah, it was kind of crazy at the time. I feel like it is still kind of the touchstone moment. Like you saw some people referencing Spider-Man or referencing No Russian in relation to Spider-Man when it came out. It's like there's kind of a No Russian thing in there, which I don't think that's a no. The thing that happens in Spider-Man is like shocking for that game, but not on that fucking level, not even close. And I think the No Russian thing was the high point for that concept because Call of Duty would try to do it again and again.
Yeah.
And the game even this year, even last year, still has the toggle in it to turn off graphic content, and that's where that came from. Is like from that and. All right, maybe maybe Modern Warfare 1 had it with the nuke stuff. But either way, it was like, you can kind of turn this stuff off as a response to some of the reaction to some of that. But the thing with No Russian is like, it is a hard to watch thing, but at no point are you actually literally forced to put bullets into innocence. So I played that level and went like, oh, I need to make this look good, and thought that maybe I would actually fail the mission if I shot civilians. And I did try to shoot the Russians, and that it fails you out right there.
No Russians.
No, okay, sorry. But you can kind of shoot in the air and put on a show.
Yeah.
Which I thought was what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
It turns out no. You can kind of do whatever you want to the civilians in that bit, and you kind of get it either way.
That's dumb.
I think it was like for storytelling and shooters, it was like a pretty powerful thing. Like it was before it kind of became, I think, cliche to have your edgy moment, and they would lean into, fucking torture scenes and other weird stuff that I think got like a little too edgy for its own good.
They felt like they had to one up.
Exactly. Yeah. And No Russian felt like it was an escalation from the nuke thing in the previous game, without necessarily being like corny or hokey or
edgy
like,
for edgy
exactly
sake.
Yeah, it fit with the story. It lent some gravitas to the situation that I think actually helped that story, and I think a lot of games get that wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. That said, I don't think I've actually seen that level in probably like 9 years or so.
No.
Calvin writes in and says, last month, my game and movie collection that I've been building for almost 30 years got destroyed when my house caught on fire.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
My question is for Ben. After your fire, did you find yourself going exclusively digital? I can't seem to bring myself to get attached to discs and cases anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I've been edging towards that trend lately just from like, I didn't have a lot of space at my last place, so I ended up buying a lot of digital. But now, like, especially because I'm in a house that doesn't seem like, we kind of want to move. This was never meant to be a permanent place. It was like, I don't want to saddle us down with a bunch of extra shit. Yeah. So the thing after the fire, not to like talk about my fire a bunch, but it was really weird and kind of freeing seeing everything that I had in like 2 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, there's stuff with my parents still, obviously, like stuff from my past or whatever. But like pretty much everything I had that I could take with me was in 2 boxes. And seeing that and just thinking like, that's all that has me like attached down was kind of freeing in a sense.
Totally. Like you could do anything.
Yeah. And like, so I've kind of been trying to keep that momentum going and kind of Marie Kondoing up my life of like not really attaching myself to physical objects that I don't need. And so I've been buying a lot digitally. It's kind of a pain when I want to re-download something, but honestly, like I'll just put it on in the background. I have good enough internet that like I'll come back in a half hour and I got whatever I need. But yeah, totally. Like I totally have that understanding of like, I never had anything close to a collection. I had a fair amount of games and then older consoles stored away, like my 360's gone, stuff like that.
Right.
But just like having the ability to be all digital now, I feel like is really nice. There's something to be said to the holding on to physical objects, especially with the, we talked about, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but like rights, like holding on to who owns what. Do you own the right to access this game, but you don't actually own the game digitally? It's all very confusing and strange, but it's seamless enough at this point that I think you could get by totally digital.
I have too much stuff.
Yeah.
And I am kind of coming to terms with that and trying to figure out like what stuff do I actually want? Because I just have a lot of fucking weird shit, and I hang on to stuff in case like, well, what if this comes in handy someday? I should keep this flute, literally a flute.
You have to go undercover in a jizz band.
Also, I cannot play the flute.
I was about to ask.
Yeah. And I've had this flute in my garage for at least 10 years, probably longer. And I don't need to hang on to it. It's not going to come in handy. And if it did, if I really needed a flute, I could probably get my hands on a flute.
Yeah. How'd you acquire this flute?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Video game related?
No.
Okay.
It was someone's flute, and now I have it, and I'm not sure why. It might have been a roommate that left it behind.
Okay.
Or I'm not actually sure.
Okay.
But it's like a lot of stuff like that, and then also all the game stuff, and the game stuff comes in handy. Like we're doing
ranking fighters.
Exactly.
Week.
Yes. Like I'm literally pulling games out of, like that's as I reorganized my garage over the break, it was primarily to say like, oh, I'm going to put the consoles in a place that's harder to get and put the games in a place that's easier to get. And so that I can pull fighting games for ranking of fighters or whenever we need some of this older stuff. And so that's come really in handy in a way that I'm like, oh, I don't, maybe I shouldn't get rid of any games. And then sometimes I go through phases where I'm like, what if I got rid of like 80% of my games?
Right. I
have over 4,000 games in that house. Physical. That's just physical. That's not, there's no digital items in that. That's just like physical motherfucking video games. And it's a fucking lot. And I don't need a lot of them. Some of these like Madden for 360 and, like old sports games. Like who's ever going to want that? There's no point to holding on to that stuff other than, well, I've got it, so I might as well. What if it comes in handy? So I don't know.
It's a dangerous proposition.
Yeah.
All I know is my kid has not learned the ability to not touch the underside of discs yet. We're completely digital. Dumbo, for example, you saw that. We had the physical disc of that.
Yeah.
That popped up on UPF one time.
Oh right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because they had to log in to my account and pop in the disc, and now I bought a digital version of that, and it exists in our
Dumbo.
movie. Yep. It exists in our Movies Anywhere account, which is fantastic because I can just set up a profile, like anything under a certain rating. That's Griffin's profile. He can go in there. He can play whatever the hell he wants, and doesn't have to mess up my discs anymore.
Right. Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
I tried quizzing him one day because I'll hold the disc like the top. And I'm like touch, and he'll touch that, and then I'll turn it around where he's not supposed to touch it. And I'll be like touch, and he'll go nope. We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Kids are gonna grow up not knowing the pains of a disc, like cartridges.
Right.
If you handed a cartridge to a teen, they'd say.
Then that'd be a popular YouTube video.
That's what I was thinking. I was saying that too. God.
The Switch
They'd
is.
be like, what?
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, what is a cassette tape? I knew what an 8-track was, even though I didn't use an 8-track.
Yeah.
David writes in, I'm late to the party on the book Console Wars, but I've just finished reading it. It was fine, but I had a few questions about something surrounding one of the moments that stuck out to me when Tom Kalinske and Al Nielsen got their hands on the brand new Super Famicom and Super Mario World. Their first impression is that it's slow, more of the same, and boring. In short, they felt like it sucked. We're then told that Nielsen felt the same way after finishing the game and that the general consensus from gamers and critics was also the same.
What?
I was only 3 when the SNES launched here in the US, but I'd been playing Super Mario Brothers and Mario 3 with my brothers and my dad for a couple of years by the time we got a SNES in 92. Naturally, being so young, Mario World blew my mind with how huge and open it was. I know that most of my opinion is clouded by nostalgia, but I do truly believe that Mario World is one of the greatest platformers of our time. I could even argue that it is the greatest. But anyway, being so young, I wasn't really hearing or caring much about others' opinions on my games. But the notion that generally, at the time of release, people disliked Mario World is insane to me. So my questions are, what were your thoughts on the game when you first played it? Did it really feel like more of the same? Was the general consensus around you that it was bad?
I've never heard that statement. I've never heard that opinion. I don't think I've ever heard
That sounds
anything
like the opinion of two people at Sega.
Yeah.
Look how slow he is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We got something a little faster that we think kids are really going to like.
It's got a little bit of two.
No, Mario World was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
If anything, I actually maybe felt that way about Mario 3.
Being more the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
or not liking it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played 1, I played what passed for 2 here in the States, and then when 3 came out, like I rented it, I didn't buy it. I didn't feel the need to own it, and I didn't own it for years. Until you get a cartridge for $1 or something like that, and now I probably have like 7 of them. And yeah, Mario 3 to me was the game that was kind of like, it's different, and I like some of the stuff it's doing. I really like the drums, the sound effects, and some of that other stuff, but I didn't love the game.
I love the notes. I love the tail.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
But like
game.
Mario
Great.
World,
Yeah, that was a huge step up.
the first issue of EGM I ever bought was the issue where it was just a fucking big blown up screenshot of Super Mario World
Oh yeah,
when it was still like Super Mario Brothers 4.
right.
Because it was, maybe not even out in Japan yet, or just about to come out, or whatever it was. Because like I had to know more about that game, and that game I sat down and played it and found every exit and like was obsessed with it. Also, there was not a lot of other stuff to play on the platform at the time.
True.
So,
I came into the Super Nintendo a little bit later, so that actually I don't think that was my first foray into it. I'm pretty sure like Link to the Past was. But,
oh wow, okay, then
it was much later.
I could see if you came to it late, like having a different opinion of Mario World for sure.
But no, it was still just as amazing.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody say anything bad about that game.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't trust anyone that did.
Two top executives at Sega, I can see very easily being like, "Oh, this shit,
No
whatever."
one's gonna like this.
Everyone I know thinks this game is garbage.
He's not even blue.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little blue.
Just a little blue there.
No,
It's a
Super
little
Mario
blue.
World was, as far as I could tell, incredibly well received
Yeah.
at launch. Even it was a game's good. Game's still good.
Friggin'
Yeah.
Sonic, if anything, Sonic is the game that fell apart.
Yeah.
I still play through Super Mario World probably once a year. Just and yeah, it's good. It's probably my favorite game.
It's real good. All right. Chris in Athens wrote in and said the actual Randy Pitchford Piff Pod episode is truly insane and well worth a listen.
I'm
Says,
shaking my head.
At one point in the story itself, Pitchford seems to forget that Medieval Times is a restaurant and mistakenly believes Piff is talking about going back into world history. Who's the host of the show? All right. Yeah. No,
I'm gonna listen to it, I guess.
It sounds like his story comes in the last 15 minutes, but
Great.
But I've heard that the whole episode is.
I'm just curious what a magician podcast is like.
It's just them saying, "Is this your card?" over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan writes in and says, the Ni no Kuni 2 discussion made me try it despite not being a huge role-playing game guy. After 70 hours, I can say I absolutely loved it. Cool. What really stood out to me was how wholesome and positive the story was. It never got dark, it was constantly silly, and overall had an extremely positive vibes, even in the darkest moments. Mentally, it's the type of game I needed right now.
Nice.
What are some other standout games that have positive vibes, and what are your favorites?
Katamari.
Katamari. That was actually that was the first thing I thought of as well.
Some good juju there, yeah.
Wholly positive games. Yeah, it's interesting. You're gonna find that in a lot of kids' games. I feel like the Lego games, are probably a good, even when things are bad, they're gonna be jokey bad.
Ratchet series, pretty
Yeah.
It doesn't get too dark.
Yeah.
I'd say
Ratchet's fairly light.
comically dark.
I feel like any sort of like character platformer, any sort of like console mascot,
Bubsy.
all the post Genesis Sonic games.
Shadow the Hedgehog. Now that's
He's too
positive.
dark.
Yeah, I'd say like Loco Roco, which we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Yoku's Island Express.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's probably a pretty good one for that.
The Pixel Junk game. Well, I feel like those are just
there's maybe
delightful.
just yeah.
It's a different kind of delight. It's less
Right.
positivity and more just like fun.
Right. It's light.
Yeah.
This is an anonymous email.
Like from 4chan.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, we're screwed.
You can tell because there's like a greater than symbol in front of everything for some fucking stupid reason.
Remember.
Sending this anonymous for obvious reasons. Don't see any reporting on this yet, but it might be public by the time you record. The headline of this email is Richard Garfield out at Valve. What's next for Artifact? And this anonymous email that we have not substantiated says Garfield is no longer working at Valve as of late this week. And this was sent last week. So as of last week, I guess. Not surprising given how the game has been received. Other ex-Magic the Gathering persons that came with Garfield are also out. For those of you with Magic and or Hearthstone backgrounds, does it make you less interested in checking out Artifact or following along with changes to Artifact now that the figurehead/big name is no longer attached? More broadly, what does it mean to have a name attached to a game? Does it matter what genre of game? Does Dota work without Ice Frog? Does Metal Gear work without Kojima? And what's next for Artifact? So let's assume this is true. Like I said, this came in as an email, and we have not substantiated this. So this is just
even theoretically, this works as
yes. But yes, what does that make you? How does it make you feel about Artifact as the person who's played Artifact?
Yeah,
it seems like the rules are in place. Like I don't know, do you need the rules guy there anymore?
Right. So he totally. I feel like he did his job. He made a game that is engaging, like the core game itself. Artifact, fun, interesting, challenging. Maybe I don't know how directly Garfield is involved in like balancing games versus just like rule creation and world building and stuff like that.
Game
like
design,
if he has a guy, like I imagine maybe some of the people he brought with him might be like, this is my balance
This is my new
guy.
card guy.
Yeah. And we don't know the specifics about like what kind of contract he had with Valve. Like if it was, come in, make sure the launch
Design
is fine, and then
something
you can peace out.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if this is like, oh, he was supposed to be here for a couple of years, and the audience obviously isn't there. Like not knowing that makes it a little more complicated. But honestly, if it weren't for the dwindling number of people playing the game, I would say Artifact would be fine. Like, there are people at Valve who know how to balance games. I feel like you could, Ice Frog is a Dota guy first and foremost, sure, but like, I'm sure he could have some ideas. There's some other people there. They've been balancing TF2 and other games like that forever.
Game balance that's a job. People do it.
You can hire people to do it. Like it's not necessarily the end of the world if the original designer. But like to answer the second part of the question, if Ice Frog suddenly left Dota, I think that would be a huge deal. Like that he is and has been Dota forever. Like.
Do you think that Ice Frog has always been the same person? Do you? Because I feel like it was secret enough for long enough to where, and I guess at some point they did come out and say, "Here's who Ice Frog is," right? Or
they have never said
it. But
there
it's
have
kind
been
of
like
open
court documents
now.
that people have kind of traced backwards to get kind of like a 95% confirmation on who it is, and Satoshi Kon. At this point, it's kind of unclear if he is the sole balance person, if it's, because it's so tight around there, like that they don't even know if he's in office all the time, like, but it still feels like the Ice Frog approach to things, which is completely break it and rebuild it every major patch rather than like just constantly trying to buff and nerf. It's like, no, we're going to just completely change what this hero does.
Swing for the fences and make
and then make
lot
subtle
of really weird changes
afterwards to readjust.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's very few games that are tied to a person and it matters. I think the reference or the ones he put in there, Ice Frog for Dota and Kojima for Metal Gear, are kind of the standout examples.
They are, but well, I think they're two different things. Like Ice Frog is associated with the literal creation of the thing, whereas Kojima is as well, but as the leader of a team. You know, he kind of became the leader of a very large team,
a sort of rogue nation of Diamond Dogs.
Exactly, and I think that's it's why I think that Metal Gear can work without Kojima, because I think that, you know, depending on who you believe, there were Metal Gear games with his name on them where his involvement was not that deep.
Yeah.
Or you know, you have people say like, hey, you know, I'm the person who reined Kojima in because he was off doing, you know, CQC training in LA. We had to make a fucking video game. And so you hear stories like that all the time about that particular franchise, and I think that, and that's why, you know, I almost stopped you when you were talking about No More Heroes, and continually referring to Suda and his games and all that other stuff, because like there's a team.
Yes.
And I think even like a case like Let It Die is thought of as a Suda game, but I want to say he's not even in the same role that he normally is. On that, it's a Grasshopper's a team. There's multiple people that make games happen, and I think there are very few. I think it would be a blow to the perception of the game.
Image of the
and I think in a case like Metal Gear, you know, they lost more than just him. And so I think that's maybe the larger blow, is that a lot of people are no longer on those games, and
they kind of ran their course in terms of story,
a little bit, and so that I think that's how you end up with something like Metal Gear Survive, is like, okay, well, we've got the tech, let's make it happen, and the soul of it's not there. But I think that soul in Metal Gear especially emanated from like maybe more of a brain trust, as opposed to just literally one person. I don't want to understate his involvement at all either. I think, you know, he's clearly got some fucking big ideas about video games, and I think he's brought those to bear
like ones
in
that
ways
could blow themselves up if you die.
Yes, exactly. And ways that have brought themselves to bear in a way that few other games do. But he's got people behind him. You know, he's got a team with him.
And I guess just to bring it back to the Richard Garfield thing, like if it was just him leaving in a vacuum and the game seemed healthy, it'd be like, that sucks. He's obviously a genius when it comes to design. Like, he's magic. This, you know, the original Netrunner, he's had some fucking hitters under his belt. But like you said, it's a team thing.
Right.
It's not just this dude. Like, I'm sure he's the core dude, but he came with a posse, like they said, you know.
So if other people that he brought in that were part of his team are also out, then
it's a little more of a
it's like, okay, well, who's running it now? Is there value in
and we know a little bit about the inner workings of Valve, of kind of, you assign yourself to whatever you want to work on, and the people want to assign themselves to the game that they want to spend time with and they think there's a future in and stuff like that, which is why you've heard like rumors about the Dota team just shrinking to a minimal over time, and a lot of people going into Artifact, and it's like, well, do you really want to stick yourself on the Artifact team for a really long time if it's like dwindling like that?
And what does the state of Artifact mean for the future of that game?
Yeah, and future for all of Valve's, not necessarily all of Valve's games.
There's no single player component to Artifact, correct?
You can play against bots.
Okay, all right. So there is something to do.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because like, you know, that's a game that lives and dies by other people playing it, because you want low matchmaking times.
Yeah,
you want the ability to get in.
That's really it. Is like there is a constructed versus bots mode.
Okay.
I think I haven't played it.
So like that's the situation where, like, you know, that game is still new enough to where if you know if that player count continued to dwindle in a way where it kind of became impossible or unreasonable to wait out the matchmaking queue to find an opponent, like, what does Valve do?
Yeah.
I
went on the subreddit this morning, and like one of the top posts was somebody complaining that they got matched against the same guy 3 times in a row after waiting for like 12-minute queues each time.
That's terrible.
Good Lord.
That's at what point do they enter like refund, hey, we're sorry territory on it? If the game, you know, like, it's been out for what, 2 months, 3, not that long.
November.
So it's January.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're talking about a game that is like already seemingly getting difficult to play at some times of the day. Like, how much damage does this do to Valve's rep if they just kind of let this happen as is, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe you spent a bunch of marketplace money, and that's on them. That's on you if you spent marketplace money to buy a full set of cards back when they were expensive. But that doesn't make anyone feel any better about Valve or Steam or the future of Valve or the future, like all that sort of stuff. Like at some point, do they go like, all right, we are buying our way out of this PR thing, and airlifting out of Artifact entirely, and hey, I don't know, it's free or whatever.
It's free, and you can just hear all the cards.
Here, you can now play it while you are waiting for a Dota match to form. Speed Artifact. I don't know. That's a weird one. It seems like, I think the weird part about it is like hearing you say that like Artifact is good.
Yeah.
Like it just, you wonder what the factors are. Like maybe it is some of the stuff we said, like, oh, Magic's Arena thing came out and there's just other card games. Like they just didn't break in where Hearthstone had been. Yeah, that's right. It wasn't free to get in. So maybe that's the next thing they try. If you ask me what's next for Artifact, I bet it would be, hey, we're like lowering the barrier from $20 to $0, and now you can, get a starter deck for nothing and buy cards or whatever from there. Keenan in Vancouver writes in and says, on the most recent episode of Pro Skater, we were wondering what happened to Uwe Boll. He's in Vancouver running a restaurant.
Really?
Oh.
Uwe's Bowls.
Yeah, called Bauhaus. Bauhaus.
The Bauhaus.
Yeah.
There's several restaurants named Bauhaus.
Yeah, I bet. Several everything.
That's true.
And the fact that it serves expensive cuisine isn't even the biggest surprise about it. It's also extremely well reviewed. So apparently he's running a successful restaurant.
Good for him.
Yeah.
If you had to, what do you think Uwe Boll's signature dish is?
It's Dead or Alive wings.
That was an okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was an okay movie.
I don't
know.
I
No.
mean, Kevin
Yes, it
Nash
was.
was in it, so I'm like inclined to like it, which is disgusting.
It is
says
an okay movie.
something about me.
I will die on that hill. It's an okay movie.
Good.
Josh from Yorba Linda, California writes in and says, after the last week's discussion about the state of Activision and EA, it made me think, who could usurp them? My only answer was Ubisoft.
Wasn't that your go-to for who should get the license?
I know they had to stop a hostile takeover, but they have had multiple successful franchises. All of them seem to sell well or continue to profit through long support, with maybe For Honor as an exception. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Like they keep supporting For Honor.
they had that big single player.
They didn't cut and run
right?
from it, so I don't know if it's doing well or not. But they seem to at least be treating it
For Honor, yeah,
as an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. Seems like people that like For Honor really like For Honor. So what do you think? Is Ubisoft the healthiest and maybe soon to be biggest AAA publisher / developer?
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe before Fallout 76, we could have said Bethesda's up there.
Really?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking of who else has an E3, a big E3 presence.
Yeah, I mean, Ubisoft, I think they are big, but they don't have anything that is huge in the way that Call of Duty is or the way FIFA is for EA. So, like, I think that Ubisoft, Assassin's is big,
thing,
yeah, but it's
but
not.
it's not
I don't think it's Call of
ubiquitous.
Duty big.
No.
It's not. It's definitely not FIFA big. So I think that Ubisoft is probably like in the best position to, they've diversified their portfolio of games to where some of the games are maybe less open world than others.
Yeah. There was that stretch there where kind of every single Ubi game was the same, exact same.
Absolutely. And, and they still have some stinkers like The Crew 2.
Yeah.
It was not a good game. I don't think they have a perfect track record lately or anything like that, but they've been doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they've been putting out solid games and supporting them a lot, and I think they're in a great position for the future. Whereas when I look at Activision and EA, they seem like publishers that need to figure out what's next. Whereas I think Ubisoft knows what's next.
Yeah.
And whether that takes them to heights that are higher than where Activision and EA were at their heights, like I don't know about that. But I think they'll be doing just fucking fine. And if Activision, I think if Activision and EA aren't careful, I think that like the core of their business is just going to crumble out from under them. Activision will always have the mobile money that they get from King, from Candy Crush and stuff like that. I don't think they're in like super danger or anything like that. But like I think we said last week, even Blizzard has taken some knocks in a way that like you don't expect to see happen.
Right.
So like there's, they've seen some rough stuff as of late because of some of the decisions they've made. And I think EA is in a weirder spot also, where their biggest games are based on licenses, and what happens if someone comes in and bids those licenses out from under them.
Didn't Activision win worst company in America 2 years in a row or something?
No, EA did.
EA did.
EA was winning those back
Okay.
a while back. I think Activision actually ends up. I was talking to someone, I will leave nameless, but someone who said that Activision like apparently spends a lot of time trying to get up on the best places to work lists and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything Ubisoft is doing right now is like gigantic and in this way that like Call of Duty was at its peak, right? But I think the Division looks fucking cool.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to playing the Division 2. They've done good stuff with Assassins lately, which, that seemed like a series that was flagging for a while. You're like, oh, they're going to have to get out of the Assassin's Creed game because they're fucking it all up.
Yeah.
Like, nope, they found a new way for that.
Yeah, I've really dug and appreciated their post-game like support.
Yeah, the stuff that they're doing with Siege, like even if I don't play Siege, like it's fucking impressive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the approach they're taking with For Honor, it seems, like just on a smaller scale, I guess.
Division 2 will seemingly have that.
Yeah. They'll continue to support the shit out of that. They seem to be just about ready for a Watch Dogs 3. We'll see how that goes, if that's the direction they go in, and then maybe they'll have another weird Nintendo collab. Days,
yeah,
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll get back into laser tag guns. Why not?
Hell yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Sure. Yeah.
Now is the time.
The Black Eyed Peas Experience 2.
Oh, this time you have to get the band back together.
Mm-hmm. Now that's
Fergie's the final
Fergalicious.
boss.
Yeah.
She's like
The
"No,
first
I'm
female
fired."
boss in Black Eyed Peas Experience history. Pretty exciting. That's going to do it for the show this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening and or watching.
You're welcome.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the show. We'll post some of that Mortal Kombat stuff.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, there's some
Fingers crossed.
that Resident Evil came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We forgot to talk
I
about
think
that.
Brad-
That's good
Brad's
stuff.
been playing
Yeah,
that.
I guess Brad's been playing that, so we'll check in with him when he gets back from out seeing video games and hopefully get a deeper look at that. He played it on the show, not last week, but the week before. That demo.
Yep.
I don't know.
Got an after show coming up next.
That's right. After show, stay tuned. Get your calls ready for the after show.
Yeah.
Get your voicemails in if you want to for next week, because we're not listening to new ones
No.
at this point. Get in the Discord stuff. We'll be ready. And we'll be back next week with another episode of the Giant Bombcast. Thanks. See ya. Bye.